There we go. I think that's everybody. How are we doing? Let's see. Did I hit start all? I don't know. Are we streaming to YouTube? Yes, we are. And so we'll do that, and then we'll hit mute, and then I'll pop out the chat. There we go. Now we have YouTube functionality, and we have Twitch functionality. We have a Twitch chat to pop out. I think I do need to do that still. Where's the Twitch chat? The Twitch chat. Twitching and the chatting. Don't have that yet. Okay, so over here, I need to open up, I can close this, and then open up twitch.tv/obother. And then I can go down here to the gear, and I say, hey, why don't you go ahead and pop out that chat? And it goes, all right, I'll pop out the chat. And now, I'm all set. I got all my chats on screen. There we go. A little bit labor intensive. Got to check out some of those tools to see if I can get it to open up a YouTube chat properly, because it does not do that currently. Make that the width of actual chat. There we go. I got a much longer chat scroll when I put it on the other monitor. That means that when I go over here, I have all my windows working properly. I can make stuff large if I need to. So none of these are really representative of what the new thing is going to be. My best representation of the entire circuit is going to be in whatchamacallit, chewy, chocolatey, crunchy Hershey's. In Fusion. Fusion's going to have the actual good circuit. I need to, if I'm going to have the fan this close and audible, I'm going to need to move it so that it's blowing on me. And the on-air light's red because I am broadcasting. How's everybody doing today? Nobody's here yet. Everybody's like, Thursday? You didn't stream last Thursday. Nobody's going to be around. What's up, Flask? Let's see, we can move this. Actually, we should be looking for FETs right now. I need to find a 100 volt, slightly higher current MOSFET. It should be a MOSFET, really, because they switch much better. Let's see if I've got anything in my miscellaneous parts stuff. Somewhere around here, there's miscellaneous parts. How's it hanging, Flask? Logic NFET, huh? That's probably not going to do it. I don't think it will. BSS 138, though. We'll look it up. BSS 138. Too many E's. Corrected me. BSS 138, N-channel, logic level enhancement mode, field FET transistor. It's probably not good. 50 volts. Not quite there, huh? That's close. I wonder what the peak current through the coil is. It's a lot. It's a lot because those 100 volt transistors were getting visibly hot in the thermal camera for just a split second. So we probably need a pretty beefy FET on it. I don't trust FETs in parallel because the inrush to one side or the other might kill it. I don't like putting stuff like that in parallel. So I don't think I'm going to be using these to just barely be under the voltage. 148s. 12 amp P channel. Oh, these are the ones I used for the RC car project. I think these only go up to 50. There's a triac, but a triac needs AC, not DC. The unfortunate business of the triac. The order of the triac. Huh. There you go. That's close enough. Yeah. 600 volt 4 amp. Like, this thing would be awesome if I could use it with DC. It's even in that giant package. I don't even know I have these things. But that just won't do it. Yeah, all right, so PFET. It's still not in a very big package. Hoping to get something with a heatsink on it. Yeah. I have almost no experience beyond 5 volt. Neat stuff. Tracks are switched once and then they are just on until they aren't. Yeah, that's, you have to unswitch to the triac. I usually don't deal with like high voltage and current. I did it just because it's exciting. We probably could have flipped it with a whole bunch of 12 volts if we really wanted to, but instead I'm kicking it with a high voltage just so that we don't need a bunch of like big things like high amperage components in order to get this thing to pop off. Although I probably could have done that. It's still, you know, have capacitors will charge. It's fun to do it that way. It's just a little bit more exciting. But again, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. So it is kind of new territory for me. I don't typically do that stuff. I you know, I know what I'm doing in it, but these are all regulators. I'm looking for one of the miscellaneous bins so that I can sort through multiple things. Wow, 2 of those are open. That's bad. There's the FET driver. This thing is even smaller than those FETs. I can't. What do you, yeah, what does it take to pop off the FETs? Usually it's, because that's the problem we had with the motor drivers. I expected my, oh, this is different. Huh. Orange LED. There it is, the gate driver. This is just a tiny 4-pin surface mount thing. Apparently you need to pop off a whole bunch of voltage into the FETs, certain FETs in order to get them to actually like do something. Whoa. This might be our buddy. IRFS 7530. IRFS 7530 datasheet. Infineon. Jesus, look at this thing. $240 amps. Breakdown voltage, 60 volts. Son of a bitch. If we were going to flip these, the solenoid with 12 volts, then this would be our bet. This would be our guy, but it's not. This is for much lower voltage applications than 100 volts. 10 volts. Yeah. Son of a bitch. Oh well, so much for that one. It's a little big for our application anyway. Yes, mostly. Yeah, all a detonator is a little nichrome wire and a bunch of sensitive stuff. So all you need to do is launch a model rocket, essentially. That's the singular op amp. That's the one that I never know that I have, because it's on this bin and not the one with all the other op amps. Let's see, line receiver, max 308, use optical isolators, some other just random optical isolators, hex inverter, digipot, serial FIFO. Nope, none of this, none of that. Those are all ASICs. What I'm really kind of looking for is the miscellaneous bin. But if we run into something along the way, that's all micro stuff. Op amps, that's all op amps. Op amps are not what we're looking for. And I'm out of bins. Wait a minute. But there are more. Oh, there's one, couple that have been displaced. Oh, this one is all synthesizer stuff. All the stuff that I've been ordering for synthesizer. I need to label these because they're, how does that get up there? This is a whole bunch of parts that I should know that I have. Like, this is for the mixer. Actually, a lot of this is probably for the mixer. 29.4K, I think that's for the mixer. I think those are temperature sensors, maybe? Oh no, this is for the 303. That 303 has been a thorn in my side. Just an absolute thorn in my side. All right, so none of these are parts that I need or want. This is the new bin. That's a voltage regulator. Those are voltage regulators. Those are also voltage regulators. I believe 5 and 3 volt are these two. Five volt reference, 2 volt reference, 10 volt reference, 2.5 volt reference, brownout detector, Hall sensor, thermistor, magnetic field sensor, load cell, driver. The this stuff on my thumb is just because Willow was biting at a stick and she caught my hand. My hand got caught in the fray. She did her panic bite. 25 volt JFET. Darn it! None of it's right. None of it's right. I2C, jumpers, switches and tactile switches. Fuse, no. Pogo pins, no. These are all crimps and connectors. Where did the miscellaneous bin go? I had a bin of like miscellaneous SMD parts. Oh, I gotta like sift through the drawer. Drawer's a little bit crap right now. Everything's kind of collapsing in here. Those are all those components. Okay. I thought I had a miscellaneous SMD bin that had SparkFun parts in it. And in the SparkFun parts, there were some FETs. Or things resembling FETs. Oh, we need this. These are the 2 knobs that aren't quite the right value. And then my 2 my headphone inputs, headphone plug inputs. Bunch of this stuff. That doesn't close. These go here. Try to push everything up and vertical. Where the bin is. All right, let's look again as I put everything back in here. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of components. This drawer does quite a few different tasks. Including zip ties. I don't think zip ties should go in here. I need a different home. Put them over there. Okay, now they're in a weird space. Fine, whatever. Fine, it's fine. Syringes don't go in here. Go over there. Okay, none of those. What I need. Port expanders, QFN. What is this thing? Oh, weird. Megas, bunch of microcontroller stuff. Here, give you guys a little bit. There should be like a miscellaneous SparkFun bin in one of these. And I was hoping that would have a FET in it that could do the duties. Is a zip tie a component? I know there's a in the doors of certain BMWs, the E46 BMW, the 2000s to I don't know when that era was over, but there is a zip tie that has a BMW part number because they use a zip tie to keep part of the door controller, the whatever that thing's called, the window lifter, window regulator. There you go. The window regulator has like a cable coming as one of the components of it. It has like a cable that goes across it, and it'll make a banging noise. It'll kind of hit up against stuff when you're operating your door. So they put a BMW issued zip tie on it. I'm disappointed in those really powerful FETs. Those would have been great. Got to get out the labeler. I got to label these. Motor IC, FET driver. That's like a motor FET driver, though. It's not what we need. Gate driver, 240 amp, but only 60 volts. Elliptic low pass filter. I wonder if I could use that in something. In a singular op amp. Nope. Have like a low pass filter module. Each zip tie's been lovingly engineered by a German, yeah. What up, Lawn Dog? 1117. Regulators. Hey, copper. Yeah. SMD trim pots. These are the worst. Crystals. Desoldered miscellaneous. Can't really trust that things actually work in this bin. That's not a MISC SMD. That was the one that I was looking for. Okay, let's just make sure there's nothing like it on all these. Those are all op amps. And then XY caps. This has a couple triacs, but unfortunately we can't use triacs. SCR. Silicon control relay. Actually, the SCR might be what we're looking for. Let's double check on that. Is an SCR it's a DC thing? Yeah, the cost of the zip tie is phenomenal, whereas you can just get a regular zip tie. I don't know if the BMW zip tie has a BMW logo on it. Oh, I get asked this all the time. If you just look up surface mount bin, SMD bin, or SMD case, or there's all kinds of different like types of ways to organize surface mount devices, but these come up in those searches. They don't really have like a unified name or title. They say Wen Tai on them, WEN space TAI, but you can't find it by just searching that. Definitely not. These might be able to do it. I'm not sure, but they're too small to work with. Look at you. This is exactly what I was hoping for. P0102 DIN. Thanks to highly sensitive triggering levels, the 0.8 amp, P0102DN SCR thyristor, it doesn't, is suitable for all applications where available gate current is limited. This device offers a high blocking voltage of 400 volts, ideal for applications like interrupter circuits in 110 volt mains regions. So this is good for like house power, I guess. Proximity sensors, gate driver for thyristors, overvoltage crowbar protection. What? Ground fault circuit interrupters, arc fault circuit interrupters. Yeah, so none of this stuff is what I nope. That's a shame. Okay, well, that one's not gonna work. So the SI 400 EDJ is a specialized thing. And it's very, very small, and it's very, very advanced, and it's 502 bad gateway. Wonder why that is. This crazy thing. 30 volts. It's like the one transistor that I had that could take this project is the one that we used. I don't have any non-SOT23 transistors that are going to operate in 100 volts. So I might have to buy something. I was really hoping not to have to buy anything for this project. That or put it on a relay. I could put it on a relay, but the relay sparking is going to be a big deal with 100 volts for the contact like that. That's disappointing. I just don't have anything that can handle the abuse. Well, let's look in the MISC bin. Maybe SparkFun bought something that can take the abuse, and it somehow made its way to me. Because they sell these little film cans filled with parts that they reject for their stuff, and somebody sent me one. So I have these weird miscellaneous SparkFun style parts. Although a lot of this stuff looks like it's just, I don't know, unidentified things. That's certainly not going to be anything that I can use. And then a lot of them are LEDs. A couple unidentified crystals, X-Tals. But none of these are FETs, unless it's one of these weird FETs that's in this packaging. Sometimes they do that. Sometimes they'll do that. They'll put a FET in something like this. Hey, SparkFun isn't trash. It is overpriced, but I mean, that's what you pay for not having to sift through DigiKey, you know? Actually, DigiKey's been carrying some SparkFun parts. SparkFun is really like, it's great because you can search it and find the stuff you're looking for and see what's kind of popular within the hobby and stuff without, like, because DigiKey is like more industry focused. I don't know, I feel like it's just like you've paid for somebody else to go through the DigiKey catalog for you. Oh, is that what? No. M31855K. 31855K datasheet. Thermocouple to digital converter. It's a thermocouple driver. Where's that other thermocouple? Shunt amp. Voltage regulator, LDO. Nah. There's no like transistor-y kind of doodads in here, is there? Nah. Okay, so this one I think is a voltage regulator. I can see solder on it, so it's not something, it's like something from something else that I've taken. We'll just check. This is going to be a pain in the butt to figure out what it is. I don't see any significant markings on it, so let's just go back. That's just going back in the bin. Just back in the bin, back in the bin. I wonder if I could find a high current resistor, because our shunt resistor, remember, also blew up. I'm using one of those for my plant mat heat controller. Nice. My plants are doing not great. A lot of the seeds, I think, were dead from freezing for a year or two. Like the what is it? The anchos, I think, aren't growing. One of them just aren't. One of them, all the seeds just aren't growing. The habanadas are actually growing, and a couple of the others. So I think I'm still going to have a pretty good crop of peppers. It's going to be kind of unique. The red habaneros, of course, being one of the spiciest peppers that I'm planting this year, is of course doing gangbusters, which is unfortunate because that means I'm going to have a lot of them. Habanero spice I like, but I think it kind of takes over what it's in. And so I don't really want to have it there. I wanted the flavor of the habanero in there. So I'm probably going to find something else to do with them. Maybe I'll smoke them. Not like put them in a bong and smoke them, because I saw that gif. That looked painful. No, I mean like I put them in a smoker and get them all smoky and cooked, and then put them in a sauce or something. I don't know. What's up, lines and squares? It is a little bit like Radio Shack. Yeah, SparkFun's a little bit like a modern Radio Shack. White habaneros. That's interesting. 4 ghost peppers, white habaneros, Carolina Reapers, none of the chocolate habanero. That sounds like a hell plant. It's like, I don't want to go anywhere near that. We have a planter like on our deck, and that's where I put all the hot peppers, and they provide a screen between like the deck and the lower deck, which is pretty neat. When they get real crazy, like the pepper plants are huge. But yeah, my crop is going to be like Serrano. I think the Serrano is going to be the most tame one though. It's going to be Serrano and habanero. I think there were some other weirdos, but yeah, it's going to be a punishingly spicy crop, but not quite Reapers and ghost peppers. Although ghost pepper is really good. It's got a really good flavor. Should maybe think about using ghost pepper sometime. Your habaneros are the tamest one. Those are the ones that punish you the most, though. It like sticks with you too much. We could not find an appropriate switch to blow up our high voltage project. So I'm probably gonna have to find something. Anybody know any good MOSFETs? Unless I have to have something. What about my old 3D printer controller? That just happens to be sitting here. I would encourage you to grow ghost peppers instead of the habaneros. You'll find them to be a little tamer in reality compared to the stinging effects of a habanero. Yeah, maybe I should look that up. Next year, when I do the peppers again, I will do a little bit more research because I'm going to be buying everything new for next year. Ghost pepper technically by the heat scale is much hotter, but it's the way it responds to the human tongue. Yeah, it's the onset of it has more flavor and stuff. I don't know, just in my mind. These might be some FET style things that'll do well. HY 1403. HY 1403 data sheet. Oh, I see. It's a oh no, we're good. 30 volt, 42 amp. Only 30 volts. Come on. That's a good FET though. This would have been a good for our if it could survive. What up, Gonad? How's it going? Gonad was streaming a little while ago, and all of you should have been watching him. Yeah, 42 amps is pretty chunky. That's like the max rating though. But that would be something like what we would need if only its rating was at 100 volts. Oh, I know, Lawn Dog. I know you're big into chili peppers. I know you like that stuff. Well, that's where I get the most hot sauces. Actually, no, I've been getting store-bought lately. I need to find a place to get the non-store-bought hot sauces. Yeah, Gonad lines and squares. All right, so those weren't good. Which is unfortunate because I have like 4 of them. I think there's 3 under this heatsink. The same switcher. LM25, that's a voltage regulator. Those are motor controllers. What are you? What are you? 17-33 from On Semiconductor. SOT223. Wait, what was it again? RW, or is it a W or a J? That's a J. RJB 1733. I feel like that's a 3-volt regulator. LDO, there it is. Oh, it's an 1117 series. There you go. Hellfire hot sauce. Makes some of the best sauces on the market. Virtually every single one of them are fantastic. I have not had a sauce I do not appreciate. I have a feeling if I find that and I buy that and I try that, it is going to be pure pain and pure pain accessories. Like that's all it's going to be, is just, it's just going to blow up my mouth. Because I'm a weenie with the hot sauces. I like sauces. They can have heat, but I like sauces. Does PA not have a roadside stand hosted at an old Ford Ranger owned by migrant workers selling hot sauces? We have similar things to that, yes. And there's also many farmers markets and yeah, there's some roadside grocery places too. Zombie snot or bloody snot? I'm not buying something called that. I'm just not. You can't make me. I'm not doing it. I'm not buying something called that. That's just not. Nope. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not. I don't need zombie snot in my life. I'm so sick of the zombies. Good God, am I sick of zombies as a narrative? That's not the reason I wouldn't buy something like that. It's just you call your product snot and it's a hot sauce. I'm not buying it. And I think that's a reasonable stance. I think that's a reasonable stance to have. Are these current sensing? They must be. That's crazy. Been around for the last 15 years, hands down the world's best green sauce. I got some green sriracha, and it doesn't taste anything like sriracha, but it is a decent sauce. It's way too tangy though. They really bumped up that tanginess like way too much. But it was kind of good. It's green sriracha. It was, I think, a Wegmans product. Yeah, it's the. I'll tell you, Copper, the overlap of those two communities is probably extraordinarily large. And that's probably the reason. We need a creative name for this. Let's ask our stoner friends who named their last strain Diesel Sparkles. I'm disappointed in this fet. This would have been a good fet. Fear this is a good hot sauce on pizza? Because it's tomato based, I see. Got to visit a Wegner's on the vacation to New York. That's, you know, it's whatever. It's a grocery store. Man, a disappointing old 3D printer driver. Where am I going to get a FET that's going to match my specs? Maybe I can get like a sample pack of FETs. Bojack. End channel. Power SMD. We need that power SMD. 22 value, 10 piece SMD transistor and FET. Now, I'm only interested in FETs. This is just a generic book of parts. It's $40 for all kinds of weird parts. I don't think that's for me. Looks kind of neat though. On like a FET sample pack. All these are specific because people don't just throw FETs around. Amazon has decided for me that I should get this one. J201. Oh, well, no, MMBF I've encountered before, but 40 volts. Yeah, they're all going to be 40 and 60 volts, aren't they? When you have an idea of the parameters, how do you locate a part that fits your needs? Sometimes you just go through the DigiKey catalog. And if you have a physical copy, you can take it to the toilet with you, which everybody fears the senior engineer going into the bathroom with the DigiKey catalog. But, I mean, you just start products. Where would FETs be? This would be components. Cables, wires, capacitor, circuit protection, computer equipment, connectors, interconnects. That's a big section. Crystal oscillators, development, discrete semiconductor, diodes, current regulation, diodes, transistors, power driver, thyristors, transistors, FETs and MOSFETs. Although JFET might also work for us too, but I guess we're just going to go to FETs and MOSFETs. So what we need is just a single FET or MOSFET. The package that I would most likely like it to be in would have a heatsink, so I'm probably going to be looking for an SOT223. So we're going to look for device. We'll surface mount first of all. I can't apply all. What's going on there? We want it to be in stock. We want it to be normally stocking. I might even want it to be a new product. It needs to have a data sheet. Probably should have these other two, but I guess we're not really. So not checking marketplace, not checking tariffed products. This is a new one. That's going to narrow it down significantly. So there's about 11,000 transistors for us to go through. So now we can look at the package in case. Supplier device or package in case. Let's just go with the package in case. And we're not looking for weird stuff. We're looking for SOT223. Really should be here. So SOT23 is the little guy, but let's just double check. SOT223. Yeah, it's the big boy. Slightly larger. It's got a heatsink on it. So this is SOT223 is this one right here. We want that tabbed so that we can get heat out of this thing. So 523 is the wrong thing. 243, 236. Why do these not seem to be in order? SOT23 dash, and then we jump up to 5, and then we're on the TOs. And it's not TO, because TO223 is the big guy. SOT223. I find it hard to believe that there wouldn't be any of them in here. Unless there's no dash in the number? Nope, that doesn't work. Yeah, and sometimes they'll make up their own type, even though it's compatible. 3 SMD, flat leads, no. Let's try again. SC81, SOIC8, SOT233, 1235, 233, 235 thin. Where the hell is 223? What about supplier device package? I'm just looking at the wrong thing. 223. Yeah, here we go. 223, 3, 2L. Let's just take SOT223 and any of its alternatives, and that'll narrow us down to 216 results. So now it would be on me to figure out what the maximum voltage is. And we can do that hopefully with these over here. Drive voltage, current continuous drain. Usually you'd be worried about current. I'm more worried about voltage. Operating temperature, grade, qualification, mount type. Okay, so we're looking for gate to source. No, it would be gate to drain, VDS. Input capacitance for VDS. Gate source. What? What happened? Somebody did something. What did you do? Code Rush rated with a party of 8. How's it going, Code Rush? We are looking at FETs. I still need to put a box around the indicator there. I need to work on some of the visuals of the stream, and I don't know when I'm going to get around to it, but right now it's just the pre-stream. We're just hanging out and talking about bullshit. But what I'm doing is I'm also trying to find a FET that is going to meet my needs. Oh, here it is. Drain to source voltage, VDS. Highest to lowest. 800 is the highest. Oh my God. And they're $1.17. And then drive voltage is huge. 10 to 15 volts for drive voltage. That's insane. So yeah, it's tough. It's finding new components is difficult. Things that meet your needs. You need to know all of your application and sift through it and try to vet out all of the different things that exist. Because it's like it's taking a sip of water through a fire hose. A lot of the in-stock and stuff like that really helps sort of narrow it down on sites like DigiKey. IRFP4227 is one of that I have on hand. 200 volts, 65 amps. So let me take a look at that one specifically. Yeah, I'd rather get suggestions for parts than have to do the dance that I was just doing. 7 data sheet. Sometimes you go to the company websites too. If you're like, I want this specific like brand of thing, it's like, because you know, International Rectifier, the International Rectum Fryer is a good place to be getting stuff like this from. So you lied to me. It's a different. Oh no, that's a different product. That's just advertising to me. N-channel MOSFET transistor. I gotta look around to see if I have any TOs that are big switching transistors, because I have the IRF ones. Maybe I just need to use another one of those. High pressure makes water tastier. Yeah, VDS, gate source 30, total dissipation is 330 watts. That's serious. And then thermal resistance, 200 volts, and it's set off by 3 to 5 volts. So that's a pretty good range there. That's a good one. I'll keep it in mind. Let's look at my through-hole parts and see if we've got a through-hole thing. I don't really want to use a through-hole transistor there, but maybe I've got something that could do the driving. If not, just use another one of the IRFs. But I wanted to use something, you know, a little bit more compact, because it's going to be it's not driving as hard as the big FET. I could see if there's a surface mount equivalent of that one. I'm getting caught in my mic cable because I can't put it where I normally do, because the mixer's over there. I could probably put the mixer over there, but then I can't get to the buttons, and I can't do the Morning Zoo radio show jokes or any of the weird voice effects. All right, all kinds of stuff set up for gaming. We need to do another game stream. It's just been, it's been a lot lately. I've been a little overwhelmed by my own laziness. I've been a little overwhelmed by just stuff. So these are, I believe, AC switching. I think these are either SCRs or triacs. Let's just check what these are, because I remember buying them specifically for a project that never happened. I think there's zero crossing AC switching. Zero crossing is nice because it means you're not hammering away at the waveform. MOC, there's like a, why is that highlighted? Unhighlight infernal thing. 3063? Is that a 6 or an 8? Hold on. I hate doing this with the part numbers. I think that's a 6. Some of these fonts should be criminally prosecuted. I would take these people to court for using a 6 that is so... Is it a 5? Is it a 5? Is it a 6? Could you have put, like, given your letters or your numbers a little room to breathe? Maybe just like a little room to breathe? Where are you getting your fonts that you're putting into your lasers? MOC 3063. It should be monospaced and clear. It should be the dyslexic font. Resume browsing. When did you remember this? When did I? No, none of this resume browsing crap. Yeah, 6-pin zero cross triac driver. And it's got this nice little isolation here, so you can keep your AC from getting into stuff. Comic Sans was actually a dyslexia font, a dyslexia font. It is actually easier to read for dyslexic people. I have very mild dyslexia sometimes. I think most people probably do. 150 volt RMS. I was going to use these to control EL wire, which, you know, I may still do. I have all the EL wire. It's somewhere else. It's not around here. Yeah, I don't know about using these though. I'm not sure I really want to do that. because this is just another big switching element on that board, and you know, I should be using something small and surface mount for the little guy. These are voltage regulators, so I don't think I have anything special in the through hole stuff, nor do I really want to look. Probably should just order some FETs that I can find. The scummy laser engineers. Hey man, I need you to program this laser for this product line. Okay, I'll put my favorite compact font on there. My theater marquee font, where all the letters are smashed up against one another. And so the 8s look like 6s, and there's no differentiating a 0 from the letter O on our alphanumerically named part. This music is cool. RFB 4227. I don't think it comes in any other packages, does it? So specifically, yeah, it seems like it's through hole or nothing with these guys. So that fails. Fail. And they don't, yeah, the data sheet's fairly succinct. SOT223 is the largest package that I'll recognize for this application. I mean, this one's 80 cents. If I get 2 of these, that's a P channel though. We need N channel. Did all that work to make it N channels. Why N channels? I don't know, because they're active high. Current continuous drain, 5 milliamps. 0.35 volts. V gate source max plus minus 20. What? Oh, gate source. V drain source. VDSS. Drain to source voltage is 250. So I can't go over 40 volts for my triggering signal. Would that mean that it would be difficult for it to be switched? What am I looking at? Yeah, you get the 1,000 discount and they're only 30 cents each. I guess I could order 5 of these. 10 of them for $8. Because we need 2. One of them's going to take the brunt of the charging current, and the other one is going to short out the current limiting resistor. N channel, 250 volts, 310 MIA SOTT223. What was the current on this one? It was like 2 watts. Seems to be about the class of most of these. Some of them are 3. Max ID 500 milliamps, 310 milliamps. No. It's got to be way more than that. 250 volts, 2.5 volts, 10 volts for the max RDS on and off. VDS is what I would be looking, or amps DS, or continuous amps. We just get 2 watts of power dissipation. Huh. Let's look at the data sheet. I said. Did I not say? It's this one. This one. Oh, whoops. That's not the. I didn't click the right thing. P channel 250 volts, 265 milliamp. Surface mount SOT223. 265 milliamps. That's not very much. At 200 volts, I guess it is, but. Yeah, it's the motion to the ocean, but the package is going to be the limiting factor. I mean, these are 1 amp. 200 volts, 1 amp. 960, 1 amp, 320 milliamp, 960. The higher voltages, 250, 265, 320. 1 amp was the best one on that page so far. I don't know how many amps we're pushing either. 2 amps. See, now we're at 150 volts, and we got 2 amps. 2 amps, 7.1 amp. It's also $1.56 each. Jeez. Tariff may apply. Everything's going to start kind of really sucking, isn't it? Oh, look at this one. N channel, 4 amp, 150 volts, 83 cents. SSTF 4N15. What's the catch? Active N channel, 150 volts, 4 amps, drive voltage is 10 volts. I really need that drive voltage to be closer to 3.3 volts. That sucks. So do like a charge pump. This message contained tariff content and has been taxed to oblivion for no fucking reason. 10 volts, 10 volts. Wow, these are so you just need higher voltages because your boundary conditions on the silicon that's doing all of that high current switching stuff is you're gonna need to have move the boundaries more, so you're gonna need more voltage. It's part of physics. Oh my God. I can't find any. Well, I mean, I guess I could switch it with 12 volts. I could switch with the Arduino and do something with, I guess, a what do you call it? Like an opto isolator, and then I could have that switching 10 volts to the FET. And then we can get that 4 amp one that was on this page. This one's 6, but it's 100 volts. I don't want it to be at the ragged edge of its voltage range. I want to give it a little bit more wiggle room. FIO audio players now cost 50% more. Everything is shit. We used to be able to buy stuff. 2.6, 2222224. 4 amps, 150 volts. Has to be switched with 10 volts. We get 2 of these. And I put 2 opto isolators on it. And we switch it with 12 volts. Semiconductor technology has failed you. It's a little ambitious to want to use 3.3 volts in order to switch an entire whole ass 100 volts onto stuff. But I think this will do for that. And then I've got to find like a big beefy resistor, because our resistor was one of the components that exploded from all the current that it was running. It seems like I can't get just like a generic set of FETs, like power FETs and other just miscellaneous FETs. This is why I don't have them on hand, because they're like hard to find, and whenever I buy one, it's always so specialized. This will be an order for another day, though. I need to get this before we proceed with the 100-volt shenanigan project. So I had to do a little research now, and we're doing it before stream. Luckily, nobody is around that answers the ever-so-common question of how come stream hasn't started if stream started is on the thing and the thingy and that thing, and why isn't it? Why is stream having been started? What is stream anyway? Define stream for me, streamer. We are breadboarding today. Now, I think the final design for this mixer is going to involve 8 op amps. What is stream? What was stream? Am I stream? It's going to be a 2-knob device. One is headphone volume, and the other one is mix-in volume. So it's basically like one stereo channel gets added to everything. I don't know what the utility of that is, but it's something that Julian has been clamoring for, so I'm building it. I'm building it against my better judgment. Sometimes these clips don't quite work right. We're gonna get started in just a minute here. We got a lot of stuff to build today. We know what we're building. It's just I need to implement it once again and sift through all of the old parts. I had the mixer built, but the design changed. The design changed, and it changed enough that a lot of the fundamental blocks are going to kind of get rearranged. Although it might have been better for me to actually build something on like a daughter board, and then I could have had the output section, for instance, on its own little board. You willed it, we build it. Yeah, if I had them on little daughter boards that I could put down. What are you doing with the 3D printer driver? Nothing. This uses louder TMC drivers, and since Twisted Sister sent me when we were revamping my own personal printer, Twisted Sister sent me a mini 14 or whatever. I forget what it is, but it's a whole ass 3D printer board, and we've got that hooked up to my XY table for Burn the Subs. And there's still channels open on that too. If we get real frisky, I could maybe even add another gantry to the whole thing and put a camera on it. Stream equals a man in his chat enjoying a morning leisurely walk on the beach. There's plenty of streamers that do that. You can find that channel. That exists. I'm not doing that. I'm not near the beach. It's like maybe an hour drive. Actually, it's not an hour. That's a little less than I think. Oh yeah, absolutely. We're talking about Twitch. Come on. People doing all kinds of crazy shit. We never found out what this was, but I have a feeling it's a voltage regulator because it sits right next to this big coil. Oh, well, there's the music. We might as well get started. Beach near me would be cold as fuck. The water would be cold. The air it's 80 degrees out today. All right. Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for joining me on stream. Have a good night. No, welcome to my stream. This is what I do during the day here on the East Coast in order to make sure that I am not just a complete polyp on society. I am not a functionless growth. What we're working on right now is a project that I'm doing with a friend of mine. We're building a mixer for those smaller Eurorack setups. People have been making things smaller and smaller. I guess that's just what mankind does, is when you have a particular technology, you make it smaller in each iteration. That's essentially what's going on with modular synthesizer stuff. There's all kinds of fascinating modules that people are coming up with right now. What the smaller form factor of these modular racks means is that, first of all, you can get more functionality in it, but you can also make it portable. And so Julian has been taking his modular synthesizer here and playing it for you guys, and he's been sitting on the couch with his dogs and messing around with it. So what we're building is something that Julian needs, and what he needs is a way to make the final output of the modular synthesizer. Eurorack, particularly synthesizers, use higher voltages. You actually have 15 volts, little man, put that shit in my hand, coming into the synthesizer, and then it makes plus and minus 12 volts as well as 5 volts. And 5 volts was the typical like powers everything voltage from the day when they figured out what the Eurorack standard would be. It's almost totally useless in a Eurorack synthesizer. Almost nobody uses the 5 volts anymore. You take that plus and minus 12 volts and you can pump that into your op amp so that you get plus and minus 10 volt audio, but then all of your digital electronics are going to be going through a voltage regulator and coming down to 3.3 or 5. They just don't use it. It's weird. But anyway, the point is the audio, in order to make it go through op amps nicely and have plenty of fidelity, we have a plus minus 10 volt system. And so plus minus 10 volts is not that great to be putting into your headphones. It carries with it a whole lot of current. I had a friend of mine plug his headphones into the wrong thing. It was like the line out. He said the audio was extremely crisp, but there was no volume behind it because, well, whatever. It's just he plugged it into the wrong thing. It was like a professional, some other standard on an audio device. He was shocked. So you get all this fidelity, but you know, it may not drive speakers as well. I don't know. It's not going to have current behind it. What you do in a modular synthesizer is attenuate your audio signal for output. And then you put that into some kind of an amplifier that'll drive speakers or record or whatever. So what we're trying to do is create sort of a line output, a 1.7-ish, I think, volt. I think that's right. That could be misinformation. It's a much lower voltage signal that's offset in order to output to headphones from a DC system. What I did is I decided that, you know what, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so I am going to buy an amplifier that specifically creates the headphone voltages and does sort of a modicum of filtering and just creating a nice listenable audio signal. It doesn't really, it's not like an EQ or anything like that, but it does kind of help get rid of some of the bad frequencies that you might encounter. And we're making a mixer. If you didn't realize, it's an output attenuation mixer. So we've got our big voltage signals coming in. We got a volume knob to mix them into the rest of the stuff. And then we have a knob to do headphone voltage so that your mixed in voltage, you can get everything to kind of mix together and match. And then you can turn the volume down on your headphones when you need to listen to somebody else talking, right? Two different functions out of it. And I guess what he's talking about, what my friend Julian is talking about, is we have a sort of one-to-one input, and then we have an attenuating input. Or sorry, we have a one-to-one input, and then we have the input on the knob, and it's a left and a right channel on the knob. So in order to control two different channels without one channel affecting the other, and without the weird scratchiness of a worn potentiometer, like these are alphas, they're going to be pretty good throughout their life. But if I really wanted to, I could put this. Well, okay, what am I talking about? These are alpha potentiometers. As good as they are, they will all eventually wear out. The potentiometer is it's a physical device. It is a resistive material that is exposed, and then a metal wiper will wipe across it. And so those little sprung cut pieces of sheet metal will eventually wear down on that potentiometer to the point where it fails. It's a lot of joystick communities deal with this a lot too, because the joystick is a couple potentiometers in an overcoat. So these will eventually wear down and get damaged. So if I have audio running through them, I just don't like to do that. A lot, it's totally fine to do. You know, people put audio through potentiometers all the time. I just think these should go to a buffer and be a voltage level. These will eventually wear down, but I don't want them to be in my audio path. I don't know. And then the other justification is, you know, if I had volume control using this thing, then it would be a dual potentiometer. And that's even more of a specialized part. And I don't know if I could find or fit that into the rest of my circuits. So these are just regular old, easy to find, normal 3-pin potentiometers. Hall effect pots, those exist. Yeah, they exist. They exist because of joysticks. And then with Hall effect, you don't have any contacts, so it doesn't wear down the same way. We swap out the potentiometer joysticks with Hall effects, yeah. And that's actually becoming more and more common. One of the big banes, one of the things that just really I get very annoyed at whenever we used to pull apart controllers a lot. And the controllers would always use the same joystick. They'd always use this thing. It was all the same for many, many years. And this thing is just hatefully bad. This is very, very bad. People have gotten used to it. And so they might have some kind of Stockholm syndrome with this thing. But up until recently, more recently than I'd like to admit, most joysticks were using one of these guys. They might have different potentiometers on it, and that's what these two are. These are just X and Y potentiometers. And then when you push down on it, the bar hits the button. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? But these things are hatefully bad because there's this big dead zone, and then you don't have a lot of control. It's and you're putting too much pressure into it. And so it's just really, there's not a lot of fidelity in the output from this thing. It could be better. If it was sprung better, it would be a much better input joystick. But man, yeah. The L3, R3 click is terrible. It's just a tactile button. That's all it is. But these things were just ubiquitous in controllers for many, many years, decades even. Is it equivalent to what happened with mechanical keyboards? I don't think so. It's just a little different from that, yeah. Because mechanical keyboards are driven by kind of fervor for getting an older school feel, and then everybody got into it, became lucrative. I don't know what's happening with controllers, if that's kind of where they're going. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's like stuff isn't fitting back in. There you go. Cyber dunk. Use them because they wear out. I think Sony made more from controller sales than they did consoles. I don't know if planned obsolescence is necessarily a thing. Sony will go so far as to use a convex contact patch on a rubber button in order to not have to have a potentiometer on their triggers. The triggers are actually you pushing a contact, like an oval-shaped contact patch, onto a potentiometer style resistor. It's all flexi cables inside the Sonys, and they have this patch of conductive material that has a fixed amount of resistance. But when you push down that thing, the patch of the conductive rubber grows, and you're shorting out more and more of your resistor. And so your output from that, whatever it's dropping, whatever voltage it's dropping, is getting lower and lower because more and more voltage is getting through that shorted out contact patch. That's how much they will penny pinch on a design. It's incredible. So anyway, with the mixer, what Julian wants is to have a one-to-one input and then a fadeable input. It's a weird device. We don't have a lot of room for a lot of components because we are two horizontal positions of the Eurorack system. So Eurorack has a vertical size, it has a depth, and then it has an HP, a horizontal position. Two horizontal positions is the size, and let me just split this up so it's more visible. This is two horizontal positions. It is just the size to fit a Funky Kong connector or a fader. That's it. That's all we get. So that's two horizontal positions. Every penny is profit. Well, when you're Sony, yeah. So we only get this width to work with. I made it work. I had a different version of our design. It works decently well. Probably needs a little bit of filtering on it that I don't understand how to do. But what we need to do is we need to build a breadboard version of this mixer with the appropriate features. Not the whole thing. It does not need to be both channels. We only need one channel of this because I need to resolve what the hell is happening to the input signal. As you go through operational amplifiers, you typically will invert and uninvert your audio signal. And when you get to the output of the mixer, you do not want to have something that is inverted from when it entered. So this is an important facet of this whole thing, is that I need to make sure that my audio signals are being handled properly and that I'm not inverting stuff inadvertently. Inverting inadvertently. Those sound like very similar words. So I've got a test setup over here where we can make waveforms. That's what this whole business is here. And then I've got that coming in with power as well, plus and minus 12 volts and 5. We will just take plus minus 12 from this connector and we can put it, and ground, and we can put it in here. We have the V2164 voltage controlled audio amplifier, or whatever fader thingy. What this thing will do is allow me to have one voltage signal coming off of the potentiometer, and it'll control two channels simultaneously. So we need to make sure that everything is happy going through all the different stages. Let's just get started. We just need to start somewhere. And as we go through the design, I will be testing it in stages. So we'll test a little bit first. So we're starting at the input. Now, this is not necessarily what we're building exactly, all this stuff over here. We need to build the V2164 input circuit and hook it up to the potentiometer and get audio through that. So let's, what is the contains awe? That is for the emote thrower. Yeah, so this is, these are Node-RED flows, and this is a chat interactivity kind of thing. We're gonna work on this tomorrow, because this is more fun to work on. We're not gonna have fun today, okay? That's my promise to you. OBS puts these little red boxes when it highlights just random stuff. I need to go all the way down here and click on that there. No more little red box. It's confusing to me. I get confused and then I get scared. This is a Twitch API Node-RED. We've got the event sub API here. We'll pick out a chat message. If it contains start soon, if it contains my awe emote, or if it contains the word idea. 3 different things can happen. Containing start soon is my petulant it makes a huge start soon thing on the screen when starting soon is up. If it's not up, it doesn't happen. That's what this flow is all about. Then if it contains awe and I've got the thing connected, which this says it's connected, it's not powered right now. I know for a fact it is not connected. But anyway, what happens is if it contains an awe emote, then we send a value to the punch box and it flicks the MOSFET on. But I need to buy a MOSFET. I need to buy this MOSFET. We figured out what the right one would be. This one can contain, hopefully, it's 4 amps at 150 volts, which is a significant amount of power. I do not know what the inrush stuff is, but we know that our 600 milliamp transistors are getting pretty hot. So I want something that can dissipate a lot of power, and this is the most powerful for the buck. Yeah, we'll get that in there when I get these ordered. I'm gonna order 10 of these, which will be what? Really? $1.85 for 10? You're gonna get 20 of these. That'll be $2. So anyway, yeah, and then down here, if it contains idea or any facsimile of that, what I'm doing is I am sending a command to a Tasmodo light to turn yellow, and what'll happen is it'll create 2 packets. One of them will go through the filter. The filter just ensures that 2 packets that are the same don't get sent one after the other. So we send it through the filter, and the filter says, yeah, go for it. And then we send bulb 2 a command to turn yellow. But at the same time, we send a 2-second delay a packet, and that 2-second delay will then send yellow 80 to this changer that turns it into an off signal, goes to the filter, and then turns off the light bulb. Put an ice cube machine after the MOSFET. Yes, water cool your MOSFET. We're gonna have to buy one. I don't have a big collection of MOSFETs because every time I use a MOSFET, it's like a specialized task, and usually it's below 100 volts. So I don't think I can peel a 100 volt MOSFET out of any of my old electronics down here. We did look through my collection before stream and we didn't find anything. So that's the time when it is to buy something. I have to stop buying little things like this though. It's a $2 DigiKey order is going to get a $5 surcharge on it. So I have to figure out what else I can get from DigiKey simultaneously. Do I need tantalum caps? I think I have those. They're on my list over there though, so maybe we'll get some tantalum capacitors as well. What else? I don't really think there's a whole lot else that I need. Oh, I was running out of one of my components. Which one was I running out of? What was I running out of? Could you request free samples from DigiKey for research purposes? I don't think DigiKey does that, but the manufacturers sometimes do. I think you could use them in parallel. I don't like doing that. There's a significant amount of risk. Like if anything goes wrong with one of them, then it'll explode, which I guess is a good thing to happen on stream, but it's not something that I really want to risk in my designs. You know, as much as I would love to be like Uo's Lab and take gas station boner pills all the time just for shock value. I don't really like being a shock value stream. I'm not gonna take us in that direction. But also, I design stuff. I don't just like fly through and do whatever. I like to sit here and like engineer things, show the process because it's an important thing to learn. I never really learned the process. I had to get into the working world and really sort of muddle my way through it in order to figure out, well, the sky's the limit. What are we doing? What are we going to do? Can we do that? I guess so. Answering all those questions. Yeah, I'm making this for a person. So, well, no, the emote thrower I'm making for me. That's where the big high voltage FET comes in. That's just for me. We used 100 volts because the 12 volt relay didn't respond very well to 12 volts. It was kind of anemic. And I figure if I put a bunch of punch behind it, then it'll probably punch pretty good. What's up, Lolan? How's it going? Could the potentiometer thing be replaced by a bridge potentiometer? What is a bridge potentiometer? Is it just a you're talking about something like a Wheatstone bridge? I don't know why you guys Okay, so the potentiometer wear is not something that we really need to be super duper worried about. It's something that will eventually happen, and if it does start happening, putting it through an op amp and then making it into a voltage level, that should be fine. Like if the potentiometer gets scratchy, it'll just mean the voltage level is a little scratchy, and so there might be some weird behavior from the device instead of actually hearing literal scratchiness as you're turning volumes up and down. That's the reason I did it. Couldn't watch your lives for a bit. Busy with the uni. Hey, I understand that. I understand that very much. That is more than acceptable. I appreciate you. Okay, we got to start hooking stuff up. We have to actually start building this thing. I've justified myself until I've been blue in the face. Listen, I'm not doing any radical design or part or changes or anything at this point. You know, I've got to build this mixer. Not quite starting from scratch. We've already built one. You know, I got the circuit boards right here. I just don't have the parts to build up those circuit boards. I think I need to order more of these guys. So let's actually 884062.4. I'm going to open that DigiKey page up because that'll be part of my DigiKey order. What the hell is this thing? $88.40.62. Search. There we go. This is our $5. What the hell? When did that happen? $2. Op amp JFET 4 circuit. Op amp JFET 4 circuit. Analog devices. Oh, bulk. 300, huh? That's in Marketplace. Obsolete. Oh boy. I very specifically chose this FET because it was a normally stocking part. I guess they've got 1,000 of them in stock for $5 each. I gotta order like 10 of these. This is gonna be the most expensive part of the order. Well, they're $3 at 10 a piece, but still $3 for a single component. It's crazy. $3 a part is crazy. One day I'll be ordering more than 25 of these, but not today. It's the cost of wait, tape and reel. Oh yeah, because you got to buy the reel. It's 300. Crazy. I'm being robbed. What I do for good audio. Anyway, this is the chip that we've got a bunch on the table right now. So this is our pinout, and it's pretty confusing. Yeah, they can, you know, you choose a particular part for a job, and then the price suddenly jacks up on it. The problem is it's a huge pain in my ass to go through and make sure that the JFET has all the right specifications in order to operate in this. So I should buy 500 and sell the others to people here. I'm not even sure if this is a particularly good op amp. I just did a bunch of searching on DigiKey until I found something that had sort of the right specs that I was looking for. This thing could probably be the noisiest FET in the world, or the noisiest op amp in the world. I should probably go to like some of the modular synthesizer DIY sites and see what they're doing. Although typically they'll be stuck in the past because a lot of these designs are very old. And so they'll be using parts that have long since been phased out for stuff like this. So that's why I'm doing this. Noise adds character. Not to a mixer. Not to a mixer. Unless it's good distortion, but it's not going to be. All right, so we need to hook these guys up. V plus and V minus are going to be plus and minus 12. We'll start with our initial op amp, and then we'll move on to the V2164. The V2164 is a legendary chip that was designed and then obsoleted, but it's a voltage controlled amplifier, and it's basically 4 voltage controlled amplifiers inside of a chip. We're using one of these because 2 of them will be for the left and right input, and then the 2 of them will be for the left and right output. Isn't LSCS like impossible right now to be good with tariffs? What is LSCS? I won't buy it unless you sign the parts and make it special. We can put a signature on it. LCSC. Electronics. I don't usually use this site. It's just another one of the electronics places. Yeah, it's pretty... I'm sure it's fine. I just don't use it that much. It's either DigiKey or Mouser, and Mouser's always my second choice. DigiKey is just where I've always lived. Plus, it's in the Midwest. Where's the LSCS? More Asian brands, lower prices. I see. They get pretty cheap electronics. I don't know how legitimate the parts are. I see, I see. Yeah, you know what? I've been back and forth. I don't think I've ever ordered anything from LSCS, but I have been on the site before now that you mention it. Samsung, electromechanical, COB light sources. Oh my God. I don't know. I don't know. Too much work. All right, so this thing also takes plus and minus 12 volts, so we're good on the supplies for everybody. We can go directly from this 4 to 18 volts. We can go directly from our input. We need to fix up our input, and I actually have a thing that I want to finish building. What happened to it? It's over here. I want to put capacitors on this little thing because this is a plug-in breadboard voltage supply, so I can just go right here, and I've got all my voltages in. Bada bing. So what I need to do is add capacitors to the fray. Now on the modular synthesizers, the 6 middle pins are ground. The top one is minus, and the bottom one is plus. Let's just double check that. I could have been spreading misinformation. Modular pinout, modular synthesizer pinout, and you just get this drawing right here. So with the pin on the right, plus 12 is the top row. Got it. So I want to add a couple big capacitors to this input thing, so I can just swap this around. Although to be fair, I could probably use the single-sided board and then put the surface mount caps down. No, let's just go ahead with this. Okay, so ground here is going all the way out to there. So I've got ground in the middle, and so I've got positive power on pin 1 up here. So we put the minus down there and the plus up there, and then we turn around. That's what it's all about. I gotta get the solder out of that one pin. All right, let's do that real quick. Let's do that real quick. There might not be a whole lot of soldering, but it always helps to have the soldering iron when you're doing breadboarding, because sometimes you need to break stuff out or make little modules in order to make sure that you can work better and faster. Although faster I haven't quite achieved yet, even still, statement stands. Oh, see, if I clamp it like this, it's going to be a problem. Actually, that's just garbage. I need to make this a little higher up on here, otherwise the soldering iron is going to hit the edge of the vise, and the vise will suck all the heat out of the iron because it's made out of metal. Good old vise, yeah. You got to do more soldering streams. I'm annoyed that I bought the right single-sided prototyping board after building the whole 100-volt emote thrower. So I guess they're coming in through this and this to the 2 different voltages. Yeah. It's nice when it's actually clean. It's like that. Although, should I bend these down? Well, if I bend them down, they're going to short out on something. It would be nice if they were a little bit more discreet, though. Well, or whatever. It's a test setup. It's not going to be clean. Okay, I'm just gonna dump a bunch of solder on it. This is just an adapter for building stuff on the breadboard, so it doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to be functional. And I got out the big solder for this one. Hey, get on there. Come on. Now I'm melting the header. Why are you cold? Why are you so cold? Oh, God, it's terrible. Absolute poop. It should look like that one. Come on, heat. What in the world's going on? What? It's like, this is not responding to me. Here, let's try this side. The cap's going to be like on fire when I'm done. I think it's just sapping away the heat. There's something's really grabbing the heat away. It's not like the bulk of this. Weird. There you go. Jeez. Yeah, this actually needs to attach over here, doesn't it? I think it's maybe just soldering big things. This tip wasn't ready. Well, yes, it is too much to ask. Things will, very rarely will they work first try. It is very warm indeed. Let's let it cool off for a bit. And we should probably get the thermal camera in here, huh? Well, this would be, yeah, we could just add the thermal to this one. So I can add the scene, and the scene could be thermals. Now we have thermal imaging. Yeah. No, I don't think I overheated the component. I think the component will work. I don't actually like to have the capacitor this close though. This is a little close for my liking. Should I go ahead and put the second one's not really going to fit. Yeah, this may have been a bad idea. This indeed was a bad idea. We got to get it out of there. This isn't going to work. I'm throwing this cap out. Goodbye, capacitor. You didn't do anything, but you did it well. Screw that. We're backing out of it. I'm not doing anything with that. Yeah, that's totally neutral again. Ugh. Ugh. We'll have to play with capacitance later. No, I didn't want to bend it because then the leads would be, the exposed leads would be sitting on top of all this mess. This is a very hack job that I did in order to get power into my breadboard. Actually, what direction does it go? That one is plus, and I've labeled these. So this one is ground, minus, plus, ground. So this one is, holy crap. Oh, I see. Okay, so that's ground. Huh? Did I specifically make this to plug into here? Because it doesn't look like I wired it right. I don't think I made this specifically to plug into this. So I guess we get to make another one of these. Let's make another one of those. Let's make our voltage input adapter for this breadboard. I think I made it for a different setup. And I do have these tantalum capacitors, but I don't know. B-type 16107. I might be able to use some of these. Now, I got a bunch of new stuff for breadboarding, and I don't know what's going to be relevant or not. I don't think we can use the pure surface mount breadboard stuff. These wouldn't really let me put the connector into it. I would have to drill a bunch of holes in order to make that work. I don't know where these are going to be useful. When they are, they'll be pretty useful though, because you can put a whole bunch of resistors and capacitors and stuff on them, but I just don't think they're going to work out for this one. So I guess what I want to use is one-sided perforated prototyping board. Do I really though? Does it need to be one-sided? Wait, which side would be the one side? That's right, because I need to solder stuff on both sides, because there's headers on one, and then, okay, so that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. And then I need 2 headers, and then I'm gonna need my dual-sided stuff. I'm just gonna quickly make a little power adapter so that I can use it going forward and have nice powered boards. Okay, so I need one of these special IDC connectors that are used in modular synthesizers. Those are currently in the bin, which is right there. Oh, it's just off camera. Right there. So let me go get it. Real problem. A lot of capacitors on the PCBs asking themselves if they really have a purpose. Would the rest of the circuit just be fine if they weren't there? And then they explode. Yeah, I'm not good with that stuff. You know, they say, oh, there's a high frequency resonance here, or we tested this with like Brazilian power and it needs to have a filter. Like, those are things that I've never experienced really, and I've never had a designer go through with me. How do you figure that out? I mean, you make your product, you put it to market, and then people give you feedback maybe? Ideally, but I mean, people could get really mad at your device not working. I put this on my outdoor generator and the audio was terrible. How dare you, sir? Do I need to use this stuff? The ones with little tracks on it already? I don't really, no, that won't really work. Yeah, it doesn't work. Nope, that doesn't work. That would blow up. It blew up. These do not self-organize as well as I'd like them to. Yeah, I mean, version 2, version 3, version 4, you know, you iterate out your designs. I guess. You know, there's something to be said for that, but that just seems bad. Look at all the work we've gotten done. Nothing. We've gotten nothing done. We've gotten nothing done. We haven't been doing anything. We've just been spinning our freaking wheels. We got to get work done here. All right, let's get a IDC connector for synthesizer power. For synth power. I don't know how many of these I still have. I think I got enough though. Yeah, it looks like I do have enough. What's that? My speaker's making a low-level sound. What could it be? I don't know. Is it 50 hertz or is it doing the phone song? Dub dub it up, dub it up, dub it up, dub dub it up, dub it up, dub it up. Mer conk honk. It's the phone song. All right, so if we tighten this up and remove one row, that'll be the right size. So I'm going to just cut away these edges so that we only have one row and not one half row. And then I need to cut away an entire row, and then we'll be to spec. Yeah, this whole row needs to go. All right. I'll do a half row first. Get this just barely. The Nipex helped me do this. They helped me really get in here and punch away. That's good. I'm going to take that to the file. I can't reach the file. We'll use this one right now. Yeah, well, it's fiberglass. It's not even metal. That's what the clippers are for. We got to do our nails a little bit here. I always screw up. I miss, and then I go right into my nails. Ah, I did it again. It's terrible. I end up taking like little bite marks out of my nails. I was trying to get somewhere, but now I'm following the creases of your fingernails. Get a little chamfer, a little fillet, little filleted edge. All right, nice and clean. That looks good. A UV camera. You wouldn't see much. Okay, so that's the board edge stuff done. Now I need the 4-pin headers, because this will go, I don't know which orientation yet. Like that, and then I'll have 4 pins and 4 pins. No room for capacitors again, but this is just a scrap piece. So we need pin headers. Maybe not these pin headers. This is a little much. Do I have any 2x2? I don't think I do. I don't think I have 2-row. There were little scraps of 2 rows. Oh, here we go. No, this is used. This is from the 303. Okay, we'll put that one aside. That's got solder all over it. I thought I had a couple little scraps of it, but it's only the stuff that came off of the 303. I guess it's poetic that I would use the stuff that I used on the 303. So we need to plug that into something, and that's why I have these here, these other types of header. And so we plug one into the other, and now I can solder on this thing without worrying about melting it. Because this thing has already been through hell. I need to just clean up some of these pins so that I can clip them off. Yeah, I mean, cutting PCB and leads are what these are all about. It's when you use them for other stuff that they get damaged. So I bought them specifically for these tasks. I think I have an ultraviolet cutting filter, not an ultraviolet band pass or notch filter. But I've seen UV photography type stuff. They have people like put on sunscreen and it looks crazy. This would be better on the microscope. The mantis shrimp camera that has all the wavelengths. I mean, you know, the camera would be able to see those colors all day, but we can't. And then we got scientists that are shining lasers in their own eyes and say that they have this super duper teal that's a new color that we can only see if they shine lasers in your eyes. I think maybe they just want to shine lasers in your eyes. I think they're just mean. I actually just need to add solder to these in order to get solder off of them. The cleaning up pin row headers like this is just not a good use of anyone's time. With stuff like, you know, this electronic stuff, the way that I would be doing stuff is that the pin rows, the pin headers are completely disposable because you can buy them by the bushel. And that's usually the way to go. Is you buy them by the bushel. You don't waste your desoldering tools on something like a pin header. But here I am wasting my desoldering tools on something like a pin header because I've only got these pin headers in this particular configuration. So I'm stuck having to do something I wouldn't normally do. Probably the laser's getting to your brain. It's getting all the way through to your brain. No, it's like a super teal. It's like this super duper, like really high contrast. Oh, this is actually a broken pin. So we can't use this area. We got to either go from here, which is covered in solder. Maybe I can find 8 of them that are in pretty good shape and just use those. This is from all of that fooling around we did with the M303. and I still can't get the M303 to work. I know a lot more about transconductance amplifiers now, though, after doing our stint with the mixer. So maybe I can get to actually repairing some stuff in there. I'm not sure. It just doesn't have like the output like amplitude or something that I should be seeing out of something like that. And I've done a bit of circuit analysis. I guess I need to follow through and just get the rest of that circuit analyzed. That poor person that sent me their 303, their M303, because they were having the exact same problems that Dave's had. And I still haven't been able to fix it. And it's been so long. I feel bad. I mean, they of course, they're being super nice and they say, listen, no obligation. Like, if you can't fix it, I don't want it back. Like, it's yours, which is very nice because it is an expensive piece of music equipment. But I know I'm capable of fixing that. I just, the knowledge, I don't have the knowledge in the right spot. And once I figure out how to fix one of them, I should be able to fix both. And then I'll have no 303s, but I actually won't have anything weighing on my soul. Here, you take this obligation and responsibility. Place this on your soul. And if you're too stupid, then fine. Wait, no, I'm smart. I can do this. Oh no, my soul. All right, so the pin sticking out of this one means I can't use any of those. Oh, and actually these are really bad at splitting pin headers because of the design of the cutter. Because of the design of the cutter, you can see it's like the cutting blade is all the way at the bottom. So if I try to cut pin headers with them, what it's going to do is get in there and push the pin header away from itself, and then that'll drive the cutter a little further down. And so I end up breaking the pin headers at a bad place. No, I don't have to desolder all of it. All I need is the 2 sets of 4. That's why I did what I just did. These, however, are cutting from 2 different directions, and so it tends to split them much more cleanly. Bada bing. So now I need these 4, and then the next 4, which are partially covered in solder. We'll clean these up. And these go here. And then I'll put the other ones right there once we get them cleaned up. Hopefully I have enough space on the proto board. I guess I can always just get a different piece of proto board. Not having depth perception is kind of rough. I got a tip I didn't know I needed out of the stream. Hell yeah, brother. That's what I'm all about. That's why I love doing what I do. All these little tips and tricks that people bring into chat and people bring away from chat. Fine thing to watch bother soldering after a whole day of soldering at work. Hey, be thankful you got a job doing something cool like soldering. I really enjoy soldering a lot. I do it every day of my life. Every day I'm down here in the mines soldering. Now it's all for my own projects, but I did enjoy a good day when I could build a replica device or do anything weird like that at that IED place, because they had a pretty nice shop, because it was the FBI Technical Center, not specifically the IED guys. The IED guys, they didn't have very many tools. They had provided tools that were provided to them. What the heck? This one's like crooked? How did that? Oh, I see. It can just sit in those clips crooked. Weird. Ah, what the hell? You know, stupid things. I gotta make sure these go flat into the clips. And as they do, they're trying to push up on the pins. And so the pins will fall in. They're kind of like being pushed up. And then this thing ends up crooked. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's see. You've got a little too much solder on you. How did that other one plug into the end of this board so cleanly when this one's fighting me at every single turn? It plugged right in. It would like just fit in. Maybe they were separating in a weird way. Also helps that, yeah, there we go. Okay, so that gets that in there. There's one extra row. Weird. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Did the FBI get destroyed by Trump yet? I don't think so. I think they're going to be around for a while, much to his chagrin. The party of rule of law doing their best to dismantle it. All right, it's a little janky because of the what is it? The perf board, the breadboard rather. Breadboard, perf board. Breadboard, perf board. I get them wrong all the time. No, the caps aren't going to go on this board at all. I'm building this one specifically for this dual breadboard because this is where I'm doing a lot of the audio projects, and it could use a power input that's sort of standardized. And the power on this board is weird. Minus and plus 12 are in the middle. And then ground is on the outside. So it's going to be a little bit weird. This one is specifically for this board. Oh yeah, microscope. Actually, this whole thing needs to move. This little modular test-a-majig. It's all 0.1 inch spaced things with holes in it, but I get the two mixed up all the time. I wrote it into an article once, and I had the Hackaday commenters at my throat about it, too. Sorry. I believe, sir, you mean to have said a different type of prototyping board. You are, in fact, wrong. And I will not suffer wrongness in my articles. I believe you should be court-martialed. More things I can do to use up this double-sided stuff, the better, I guess. This one has to be double-sided because we've got components coming in from two different directions. Now, when I solder this other thing, I kind of want to have something to plug it into. I think I've got something in this bin. Is this the right size? No. I do not have something in this bin to plug it in to. Usually I've got something, but... I guess we could just solder it carefully and that'll be okay. We got a load of equipment from the police when they upgraded their forensic electronics department. My boss knows a man who knows a man. I asked him if I could get a job there. Didn't go down well. Oh, that sucks. It sucks. So what way do I want this thing to be facing? If I've got minus 12, then plus 12, this should face the other way so that the pin, the key, as it were called, as it's called, the key way, it's facing that way. It's a reasonable thing to ask for, even if they're asking in a weird voice. But no, but I made the weird voice, so that means that I'm right. And the weird voice is wrong, because it's the weird voice. I drew you as a soy jack. All right, so with these, I mean, solder one pin, and it's going to be in relatively the right spot. I have to do this quickly, though, because I don't want to get the heat into the connector and have these pins start to point in every which direction. If I was serious about this, I would take a plug and plug it in, but I don't have a plug on the desk right now in the corner. So I'm just going to do this straight from the other end. And what I do when I do this is I am risking the pins heating up too much and then moving in the plastic. The way that we bought equipment at that job was different. You would basically put it on a list and it would be on a wish list. And then the bean counters at the end of whatever cycle it was would get around to looking at your list. And so one day like $115,000 logic analyzer would just show up at the end of a quarter. And it's like, why was this on the list again? I forgot about the list. We were just trying to get work done. And so nobody ever used that logic analyzer to analyze logic. I did once because I had a device that had an LCD on it and I decided to try to power up the backlight. And when I touched the pin of the whatever like transistor it was that was going to light up the little LCD backlight, the whole thing just went blank. And I went, oh shit. So I used the logic analyzer to verify whether or not data was actually being communicated to the LCD. And I didn't need to. Definitely didn't need to, but I just decided to use that piece of equipment. I could have practically confirmed that with a multimeter or the entry-level oscilloscopes that we had. But yeah, the stuff showing up was kind of a weird thing. And obviously there were ways to get equipment if it was 100% necessary, but we had enough toys in that lab to really get anything we needed to get done. And that was before AI and all kinds of cool hacking things that exist now. There was actually talk of having some kind of a system that would be able to analyze the circuits, but I don't know if that ever came to fruition or what. How am I going to get power and ground out to my pins? Ground is in the middle, powers are on the edges, which is the opposite of how I have this board hooked up with the grounds here and the plus minus, because I've got 12 volts ground minus 12. That would be like if I plugged it in like that, it would make perfect sense. Instead, I'm on the space between the two boards. So I've got ground minus 12 plus 12 ground. So the minus and plus 12s are going to be these two here, and then the two outer ones are ground. So I guess I need to go around it somehow. I could do that by going vertical, or I'm not going to put capacitors on this one. This one's just going to be straight up connected. I mean, or I go straight down and then over one, and then these just jump from the top. It's probably the way it should go. Yeah, all right, okay. So ground is just going to be an exposed wire. So that's going to be some of this stuff. A little bit of the good stuff. They can buy tanks. They can buy any equipment. That would be a hell of a thing to be on that list. Just a tank. We need a tank. Yeah, we need a tank. Very necessary. What do you mean, why? If I'm going to go to that outside pin, and this one goes to the inside, that's going to create all kinds of havoc. Huh. And then, man, that's really kind of crazy and annoying. It's like all of them have to be completely weird. Well, I can do ground early and just come straight up and over, and then the other wire can jump down here, and I'll have an indicator of what it is up here, because you'll be able to see the little piece of wire. Yeah, now you can make a 400 megahertz logic analyzer with a Raspberry Pi Pico for $30. It's crazy out here, man. It's crazy. All right, so actually we need to go from here to here. I mean, if I went out and around, but then whenever I grab this thing, it's going to cause a problem. So I'm just going to do this right here, and we'll just bend the wire upwards. So looks like the hovercraft races are back in town. You guys probably can't hear them unless they get super close and loud. I'm curious as to what it's like with the new lav mic. If my audio is clear, if you guys can hear the fan in the background, you shouldn't be able to, but I didn't specifically tune out the fans, so I don't know if that'll be the case. I'm gonna put an angle in this wire. Bend that like that. If I go up and over, oh no, this one can go up and over, but I can't do that down here. Weird. Yeah, that's probably going to be pretty audible now. There's a weed whacker directly outside. Shit, I moved too much. I moved too much, too greedily. Probably could have not soldered all of those and had a better time of this. Just solder the two in the middle. That would have been a good idea. All right, do that. And then this will go to this one. By way of this one. Why am I sweating? I guess it's going to be 80 degrees today. It's going to be warm today. We're going to get hilariously little done on this circuit just because I'm doing it with you guys. And then maybe over the weekend, I'll work on putting this all together myself, and I'll have a functional thing, and then we can go through the circuit together, analyzing what's going on with the signal. And then from there, we've got to work on the PCB, which is not designed anymore. It was. I had a whole design, and it was a whole thing that we built. And then Julian had different ideas as to what should be going on in the circuit, and everything changed. Welcome to engineering. But I want to get into some of the other projects, so we've got to get into other stuff and back to Burn the Subs too. Burn the Subs has gained quite a bit of functionality by use of WebSockets. And so my streaming setup and Burn the Subs are both benefiting from the Node-RED work that we've done over the past couple weeks. And that's led to more chat interactivity, not higher viewer numbers, but the people have been, here, people who are normally here. It's just, the growing viewer numbers as I do more interactive projects is something that I'm hopeful for, but I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know if it'll happen. Maybe it will. It's one ground. Let's get the other one done. Because like when you do work like this, you're positioning everything, you're making sure your shots look good. Like that. You're making sure you're clicking on the right thing. Jeez. Only microscope shot is for special occasions, not an everyday shot. We gotta have all the other stuff in here. Gotta have all the other stuff. This is gonna get hot. You know, I've been thinking about the Oblivion remake a lot, and I don't know if I'm going to play it. I haven't bought it yet. I don't know if I'm going to play it because I played a lot of Oblivion, and that was at a time when I had more time in my day. I don't know if I have the time to dedicate to a whole nother Oblivion playthrough. It's going to be pretty crazy, though, with the mod compatibility. I may jump into just playing it super modded. Got it on Game Pack. It's still the same game at its core. Yeah, that's the thing about it, is it's still the same game, which is a good thing. That's a good thing. But in terms of like, do I want to play Oblivion again? Kind of. I kind of really liked Oblivion a lot. Do I have time? Am I going to be able to dedicate 600 hours to this? I don't think so. I'm at a different place in my life. I'm not a college kid anymore. When did I play Oblivion? Was that college or was it after? I think it was Xbox. Ah, wires all over the place. Yeah, I don't have Game Pass, so everybody seems to have Game Pass. Every time a game comes out, all these people are like, Game Pass, Game Pass. I feel like I'm being left out. I love that they gifted copies of the game to the Skyblivion devs. That's hilarious. Buy the game, we'll do the character for 30 minutes and then never touch it again. Yeah, there was a Reddit post that said, like, my boyfriend spent all this time leveling stealth so that he could open up the game and create new characters with full stealth. And I'm like, first off, like, just go to the game files at that point, right? Just don't waste your time doing that. Go to the game files if you're going to do that. But second of all, it's like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? You're just going to skip the character creator? Like, the character creator's the whole game. I guess you could do the character creator at the end of the intro, but still. It's like all the fun. What kind of freak am I building today? And then you can figure out what their initial skills are and everything. But like just having like 100 stealth from the very, very beginning of any playthroughs. I don't know. It's weird. But the game lets you do it, bro. Well, yeah, but I don't know. It's Game Pass when you pass a game and then not play it. That's called being an adult. I don't know. I played a lot of Abiotic Factor, so I can't really say that I don't have time for a big game. Abiotic isn't big, but it does have a lot of content, and I got through that pretty quick. Although I still have stuff that I need to do in that game. I guess I'm waiting until the next update. I haven't gotten through the reactors yet, and it's a whole thing. Because I'm sitting there like, oh boy, I got to go back into this place and fight everything off. It's not really what got me into the game. I didn't get into the game for the fighting. In Oblivion, I had that Mage's Tower, and I had tons of soul gems in it because there was a way on the Xbox to dupe the soul gems using the bow and arrow. And so I had this Mage's Tower that was just filled to the brim with soul gems, and I would go get a bunch of soul gems and stuff them in my pockets, and then I would go around with a spell that I made that was like Touch of Death, and it was basically an insta-kill touch. It was very broken. Adult taxes, insurance. No, those are all depressing. I guess we're just going to take a wire and go from the top to the bottom and then go out to these guys, doot and doot. And then when you plug it in, that means this is ground on the outside here. And then this one will be with the pin facing that way. -12 would be up here. And so -12 would go here, and that goes to -12. Okay, so that's the way it is. Let's see. Thin wire, I guess thin wire. I don't expect much of this stuff to be pulling too much current, so I think I can remain with the thin wire. Let's see, and I go out and then down, and then once I go down, I need insulation in order to get over to the right spot. I mean, I could go around the outside, but I don't think that's a good idea. I definitely need that insulation. Okay, so I need a red wire, and then what should -12 be? Blue, because it's blue on this in this image that I'm looking at over on the computer. It's not even shifted for a chance of random circuit destruction. I'm not playing around when it comes to the audio stuff. I spend more time downloading the games than I do playing them. The fantasy of having lots of free time is borderline delusional. I don't, you know, unless you're prioritizing your time, nobody really has free time. It's just one of those things. But you know, when we were younger, of course, we had like, oh, I got an afternoon to kill. I know we're supposed to watch out for motorcyclists, but what are the rules of engagement after they run into the side of your car halfway round a corner and then pepper you with stones as they finish the overtake? What the hell? You out there battling people? Getting pelted with stones, it sounds awful. I don't know, some of these people they're not polite. They're impolite people. They believe there are no rules for their two-wheeled vehicles. My friends, my like IRL friends, they hate two-wheeled vehicles. All of them. I'm not as vehemently mad at everything like they are, but they really do get mad easily, don't they? They're very easily triggered. The guy clipped a mirror on a roundabout and then drove off. That sucks. I don't know. I think life would probably eventually punish somebody who treats other people that way. You would hope anyway. Yeah, instinct would be to chase them, but you probably get in trouble. He's playing the original GTA, the one that took place in England. Actually, was that London? He's not in London, but he's playing that copy of GTA that takes place in England. In the Isles. Whoever posts the dash cam first on YouTube. Yeah, I'll side with whoever posts the dash cam first. Yeah. That's the way of the land now. Cyclists are a menace to the UK. They are here too in America. America has the benefit of being large enough that not a lot of people are cycling everywhere, but they are also a scourge because they do not believe that rules apply to them on the roads. And that's always a problem, especially when you get all the couriers in the city. They are out for blood. Your blood. I don't think they're transporting blood. I don't know if that's legal. But they certainly don't obey any of the rules. And so to pedestrians and motor vehicles alike, they are a something to watch out for, I'll just say. Dash cammers are their own breed, purposely getting into risky situations so they can post the footage on YouTube. Is that a thing? One of my favorite videos on the internet takes place in Philadelphia. It is a motorcycle going along West River Drive and escaping a police helicopter. And he escapes the police helicopter on his motorcycle, and he rides his motorcycle much like I used to drive down that road. If I ever make a racing game, it's going to take place on Kelly Drive. Wham Bam Tesla Cam. Yeah, those cars are covered in cameras, which I guess is a kind of an okay thing. I don't know. So I'm bending this so that I have a little bit of the jacket sticking up so that I can see that. And that's going to be my cue as to where positive and negative end up. What's up, Foldster? How's it going? It's been a while. We got some old names here. Mahalo's, of course, been here the whole time. But still, Foldster, seeing Foldster and Mahalo in chat. You know? Like the good old days. I gave up cycling. It was bad for my health due to all the large metal objects moving around. I have a stationary trainer that I need to get running again. And that would be a very funny game controller, because we could do something like Wreckfest, and I could maybe hook something up that would allow chat to add resistance to the bike cycling. So giving me like the gas pedal would essentially be however many watts are going out of the training bike. So I'd have to pedal harder in order to accelerate better. It would probably be the most unfun thing in the world for me, but it might incentivize me to get on that bike a little bit more. Actually start losing weight. Which is something I need to do because I am 40 and I am obese. I'm over 40. I can't keep living like this, chat. All right, there we go. Got to pedal at 200 RPM to achieve max throttle. I don't know if it would be that torturous, but it could be. And then I can use the handlebars to steer. I can figure out other incentives that you guys could control. All using Node-RED. Got an exercise bike that does that. It hooks up to a service called Zwift. See, I don't want any hookups for the service, and I certainly can't afford the hardware, so I would be forced to make something myself. And I think it would be funny if it were, you know, something like that. I got an, oh yeah, I already read that one. Sorry, there's yard equipment going crazy behind me. They're going nuts. So it's very distracting noises going on. All right, so we definitely need it to be insulated when it goes over top of this thing. I think maybe I'll give it a little bit of space. So I'll push that in a little bit so that it does kind of a little arc and then cut it over here. Now going kind of like around and over, that would have been good too, but whatever. Oh my God, now my phone's buzzing at me because they're activating all of the cameras. Stop it, stop buzzing. Why does that one go straight over? Oh, because, okay, so it's off, yeah. One is centered and the other is like offset. It's very strange. You always ask for pain, why not make rewards? A little bit of both. But, you know, if you were there, well, actually, weren't you, Breadin Shirker? Were you there way long ago in the before times when I hooked an X-Acto knife to a little tank that chat controls? Do you have a YouTube channel? Yes, and I'm actually streaming to it right now. It's mainly just stream archive. I put a lot of my old videos on there going back to like, I don't know, what was the first one that I put up? It wasn't 2016. I think it was a little after that. But it's O_bother and then capital VOD with no space. How am I going to strip this? My stripper does not get into there because it's got big jaws. Big, stupid jaws. I guess what I can do is just do the classical method of going above and below with the soldering iron. And that breaks up the jacket. And I can just grab the tweezers and pluck it off. And pluck it off. There we go. That really is not very clean. It seemed like it was clean, but it's really not that clean. I want to make sure that there's jacket on this side of the wire. So I'm grabbing this and kind of pushing it down so that this is flat. So that I've got insulation in there. Problem is, any of the bends in the wire are going to put pressure on the insulation. And once I heat up this wire in order to solder it, the insulation becomes like soup. And so the wire will bore its way through the jacket. Which is very annoying. It's pretty good. So I do the same thing with the other one. A little bit. Come on. Go. Same thing. Give it a twist downwards. This one, of course, is going to need to come over here. That'll do. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you, Cyberpunk, Cyberdunk. I want that to be pressed in a little bit. Pressed in just a little bit. Yeah, so we are breadboarding technically. Right now I'm doing something with perf board, but I need an adapter to put power in so I never have to think about it again. I don't want to fiddle around with stuff, and I don't want to reverse power anything. The wires are thin because these designs do not take up a lot of current. Typically, they're not doing all that much work electrically, so they don't need to have tons and tons of current. That's why the 1117 voltage regulator is pretty popular with these designs. I am color coding my pluses and minuses just so that there's no question what's connecting where. I got to make sure that this doesn't get too far up. And then we tried using the perforated prototyping board to center these. It didn't work. These are all over the place. Even though they plug in just fine, they are just crooked as hell. I don't know what happened there, but it works with this sort of cheapy setup. These breadboards, they can tend to kind of go bad as you plug stuff into them because the little clips can get displaced, and you accidentally burn holes and do all kinds of other weird stuff that you shouldn't be doing with electronics. So anyway, I've got the thing plugged in so that -12 goes to -12, and that is blue, and then red is +12, and that goes to +12 as I have it on the edge of the board. I organized it like this for me, and so this now is a power plug that we can plug into the main tester, and it will power all of our stuff. Of course, it has to plug in a kind of a weird way, but I've got these plugs that'll go in either direction with the keyway. So cool. All right, so now we have power. We need to move on to the next part of our circuit. So the next part of our circuit is the input. So we got power and we have input. Input, and then I guess maybe we'll go in a semicircular fashion until we get to the output. That's what this is. This is the output headphone amplifier. And so if our headphones plug in over here, that'll give us ample space to play with. Now I've got 2 plugs here and then 2 3s, one of them being much deeper than the other. I don't know what I was thinking when I built this thing. So out here, I'm actually going to plug the 2 horizontal rows into the very end. Into the very end of this thing, into the grounds. And that way my inputs are in a space where I've only got 2 rows of holes to play with. That could be made a lot more narrow, shouldn't it? If I make it narrow, I can get 1 more row of holes. I'm not going to do that right now, though. So these are ThonkyCon connectors. ThonkyCon is their sort of nickname. It's what the company ThonkyCon calls them because they're actually Chinese designs, and they've got a particular part number. And if you look up that part number, you can find a full 3D model of these things on GrabCAD. So the reason that we use them a lot is because they are mono 3.5 millimeter, headphone style connectors. They're mono. They're strong. They've got this metal shoulder here that you can put a bolt on the other side, and so you can hold all of your electronics up to your 2 HP module. They're about 2 HP wide, so if you're making a design with them, they're going to take up the whole thing. And they're just, I don't know, they're overall just an easy through-hole board connector. They're cheap too, because you use them by the bushel. So I've got tons of them. I made an adapter for them. The thing about one of these headphone connectors is there are 3 pins. You've obviously got ground that's running to sort of the shield. The TRS is what the plugs are called. That's the stereo one. TS, tip shield, is the mono version. The tip actually comes in here and displaces a switch. The switch sometimes on these hook up to the ring, but we don't have a ring. So what happens is that tip will come in and it'll connect to a sprung tab, and the sprung tab, when it connects to that tip and the tip is in place, it will be displaced from a switch pin. So up here we have ground obviously going to the collar. That's the easiest one to identify. Then we have the sprung pin at the bottom. So the top one is the shield and the bottom one is the tip, and then the switch is coming into the middle one. It's one that's just sort of right over here. I've got a ThonkyCon on the desk, I think. Wasn't there one? I could have sworn that I was looking at one a minute ago. What? I know it's here. Chad, I know it's here. Need to stock up on them? Yeah. They, you basically buy a big bag of them. They're practically sold by weight. Where do they go? I thought I had them. I know I've seen a Thonky, like a bare Thonky Kong sitting on this desk. I need to clean up this area next. This is the next like depression pit that I've got going on. I need to actually clean up this area so that I can feel better about myself. Feel like I'm not failing. There's a lot of stuff to throw away over here. I'm just looking right now to see if I've got a Thonky Kong connector sitting over here. I guess I don't. Usually I'll have stuff like this so that I can have like little examples to show you guys. Use guys. Huh. Well, I've got a huge bin of them sitting over here. This is the quantity at which you should be buying Thonky Kongs if you're doing Eurorack stuff, even the DIY stuff. So I buy them by the thousands. But yeah, here, let's take a look at the design. The important thing to worry about when you're buying Thonk connectors. I had leftover fajita stuff for lunch, so I'm now burping it up. I'm gonna have to get my seltzer in a minute. Okay, the design of this thing is important. The design of these connectors are very important. They don't really work with breadboards all that much, although they are pseudo-English spacing, meaning these pins can move just a little bit. I know, it's like, you finally deciphered me map for my Thonky Kong connector bin. The design is really important. This metal shoulder here is not present on the slightly differently designed, cheaper version of the thonks. There's like a version of the thonks where it's got like solder lugs at the bottom, at the base, and the problem with it is that in this design, as it is right now, this one that I'm holding here, this ground pin, you can see, it's a square of metal with a hole in the middle, right? And it's being held in by bent metal. The metal's been bent around it, and that holds it in to this package. When you tighten this onto a panel, you put it onto, in my case, a 3D printed panel because I'm too poor to get sheet metal, and you screw that thing in, you screw it in, the pressure of that bolt, of that machine screw, is gonna be on metal. It's gonna be on that shoulder. The knockoff connector does not have that shoulder on it. It's still riveted in to the ground lug. So if you tighten it anywhere past very, very lightly tightened, it will actually extrude the screwed barrel, the screwed whatever thing, through your connector. So with the shoulder there, that rivet is still holding everything on, but it's only holding your electronics. It's not holding the pressure of the screw. Very, very important to worry about here. And so you can see in the design, when you plug the connector in, where is one? I thought I had connectors all over the place, but it turns out I cleaned up. Never a good idea. What a hassle having a clean workspace. It's terrible. Here's a beige one. Actually, this is more orange. It's sort of a reddish beige. Brown. Brown, is it the color brown? Brown is an orange. So 3 1/4 tip, shield, no ring, plug it in. It displaces that tab to connect to the tip. So the tip has a sprung connection on it. It's being held in the barrel, it's being pushed like that. And then this just floats. It just disconnects and it floats in space. So you can use this to do a bunch of stuff. For instance, normalization of 2 channels. If you run if this signal coming out of this one goes to the connector next to it on this pin right here, that means that if you only plug in one channel, it'll be equally on both. It'll be as if you plugged into a splitter. So that's one of the things that the mixer is actually going to have, is when you plug one of these in, it'll normalize the signal. And in devices with speakers, cheap electronics with speakers, if you plug in a headphone, you can disconnect the line from your speaker. That's sort of the classic use of that switch. Now, TRRS plugs exist, and they do have 2 of those connectors on them, 2 of those disconnects. The TRRS Thonky Kong, the stereo Thonky Kong, does not have that. So the stereo Thonky Kongs don't have any way to know that something's plugged into them. But anyway, that's just a little bit about... headphone jacks are fascinating. They're little little mechanical things that are designed to be plugged in hundreds of times and still operate the same. It's cool stuff. Father, why does it take you so long to do these simple circuit things in your shop? Well, because I'm doing literally everything else, including your mom. All right, so we have our grounds that we need to connect the grounds. And then I have my signals ins and outs. And then I have my power going in here. So let's go from here to here with ground. I'm going to actually, so we don't blast your eyes out. You know, it takes so long to do these things. And it's because I'm jabbering away and hopefully being entertaining while doing it. One of these days, I'm going to get my shit together and we're going to do some like gaming on this channel. We haven't done gaming on this channel in a long time. I would like to bring that back. It's entirely my fault. I've just not gotten my stuff together to do this. Now, all right, I need jumpers. So let's get all these other bins away that I don't need and go to a breadboard jumper kit I have right here. Now, the more frequently I use the different sizes, the less I'm actually going to be able to find them because you know, they get used up. Contractually obligated to make a mom joke. Yeah, it's true. It's as close as we get to having a legal requirement. I mean, instead of bending my jumpers, I could probably use just 2 jumpers and then it would be slightly cleaner. Although these short distances are tough to find in the bin too. Do like one of those. That brings me to this edge there, which really shouldn't have any stuff on it, but I kind of made this big. Like there's not already a million other gamers streaming here. You know, it's not about them, it's about me, my personality. What I bring to the table. Well, of course, doing electronics on this platform was neat because not a lot of people were doing it back in 2016. And I was in the kind of situation where I could do it consistently for a long time. I got stamina. This is about as far a ground as you can get. That ground goes all the way down here. Then over. What the heck? Wait a minute. Oh, that's -12. Ground is on the inside. Whoops-a-daisy. Glad I checked. First thing I do is look at this and go, her-dur-dur-dur-dur. Nope. It's this. That is our ground. So I'm just going to hook stuff up to power and ground, and then we can start jumpering it around to other things. These, I think, will be fed from the wire jumpers. Instead of these guys, I have ones that have like a piece of flexible wire on it. Yeah, it's just more ground. It's more ground for your ground. That's, I think, going to be a slightly longer one, isn't it? There to there. Is that blue? Close, but not even close. The greens are going to be used up fairly quickly. Those are fairly valuable. All the distances that I have sitting in this pile in front of me are the ones that are going to be more frequently used up because they're the direct jumps to the powers and the grounds and the what have yous. I still need to figure out a project that I can do with another streamer. It's so hard. Like, co-opting projects is kind of cursed. I guess it's better if I find a niche streamer and a niche like need that the streamer has. I'm still riding the high of the Tom Thinks button. That was like a perfect project because it just involved everything that I do. Do I want to go down and over to get to this ground? These are not in good positions. I probably should reinvent this thing, but that's not for today because it takes way too long. I guess I could use probably blue to get all the way down. And then the signal is going to be coming in. Oh, I need the slightly longer than blue. Was that the white one? White one I think was much longer than blue. Yeah, the button project was really great because I got to use Fusion 360 and I got to use all of my skills and of you know, taking apart controllers and looking at the PCB designs and stuff. We were able to just use a variety of different things. My ability to import graphics into the CAD program and stuff, that was real neat. And Tom was very appreciative of the effort that we put in. That's not ground. I need one shorter than that. Every streamer needs an emote launcher. Might be a tough sell, but I'm willing to put in the legwork. This does just go rather slowly. This type of circuit building that I'm doing here. We're trying to spread out. We're going to keep everything nice and separate from one another. And we're going to get all our stuff down on this board, and then we can hook up the oscope and start testing things. And I've got some special ways to hook up the oscilloscope now because I built these little distribution devices here. In the end, the mixer is going to be this big too, and I'll probably get rid of this and put my mixer on this setup. I guess I tighten that down. It doesn't move. You're the best at doing electronics that I care to follow. Interesting. I don't know. See, I don't know who else is out there. Every now and then we'll get a raid, but the raids that I'm seeing more often than not are people that do stuff that isn't strictly electronics. It's like Notes and Volts is one of them who does music and electronics. And then periodically, you know, we'll obviously get raids from like coders, Code Rush. Who's that guy who lived in Japan? Who was that? I saw him the other day. He was on. Ow, my thumbnail hurts. Sid Heresy. Yeah, there's another one. Bald Engineer. Foldster? Was that? No, that's not. Maybe. Last Miles is another one that does this kind of stuff. Yeah, I try to just come out here and be like a variety streamer for electronics. But you know, the pandemic was this wonderful boon of viewers. We got all these people in here stuck. Maybe we'll have another pandemic. You know, there's always hope that maybe we'll have another world-altering pandemic. We seem to be going down that road. But yeah, it's always nice to have other people doing the same stuff and to get numbers in here. This should probably go down here. Although that's over top of chat. So maybe here. Well, that blocks stuff that I want to look at. I'll put this down here in the corner, and then frameless chat will go up. So you guys are just a little bit in the way, and it'll go away. Are you close enough to call them the O-scope? Not Mr. Scope. No, this is the O-scope. I call it the O-scope. It's just my vernacular. Well, framed chat. You don't want to know about framed chat. Where's frame chat? Hold on. Frame Chan. Eventually, I'm going to put like text titles on these things. I just need to work with it a little bit more. Now you're framed. Get framed, idiot. The framed chat doesn't go away, and whereas the frameless one does. It has a timeout on it where you guys will eventually disappear. And I like that for these because then I'm unhindered. He's unhinged. It took a lot of work. It did that plugin that somebody suggested last time. I worked with it a lot in order to figure out how these frames would go together. Unfortunately, my uncreative engineer brain is like, the border should be white. Like, even though that'll blend in with weird stuff, like it'll blend in with really bright things. But it you know, it's nice and clean looking, and now we've got soft edges on all of my inputs, and they look a little bit more diegetic. They don't look like I've split the screen and put border, like the gray bars are gone. Yes, so anyway, I should probably call it scope chan. I don't, oh, I didn't do the oscilloscope one yet. I need to do an oscilloscope frame. And I can't do it with you guys here unless I go into studio mode, because it's a lot of going into a scene that doesn't have anything else in it, which would cut audio. All right, so our audio initially comes in, and then the first thing that it does is it's going into an op amp. So we're going into one of these guys that I need to order a bunch of, that are unfortunately $5 each. They dropped to $3 when I ordered 10. I'm probably going to order 20. If I order 20, 25, that's 25, that's $75. I'm not ordering that many. Not ordering that many. Yeah, the O-scope view is very cool, and it doesn't need a frame, but it's going to get one. I'll get one. I'll put one on it. Although it's probably going to cut off some stuff. Like if I add, I don't think I have that in here anymore. I'm not going to turn it on right now. I'll figure it out. It'll look cool though. So the 884062, 4 op amps in there, A, B, C, and D. And they are in a weird way. Let's let me just figure this out. Hold on. I want to see, snipping tool. Yeah, see, and I can also do things like this. Like I can actually bring, but we don't need, I only need that to be in the corner, and I can't get into the corner if I do that. So I'll bring this window down a little bit, and then we can take a look at this. I no longer have the limitations of the previous setup where it was narrow. Okay, so what's this going to look like inside? Got too many little bins of stuff here. It's hindering my ability to use the mouse. So plus and minus of A. Like that. Plus and minus of D. Like that. Then B is here. And C is here. Why are you like this? Why are you like this? And those are upside down. And I have to somehow wire up this atrocity. I wish I understood electronics this well. You know, I didn't always. When I was a teenager, I started learning a lot about this stuff and all the math that goes into it. You get there eventually. It kind of sneaks up on you. You're like, wait, I already know how this works. A lot of the stuff I do here is very kind of, okay, we got to wait for this to go by. I am currently in the engine room of some kind of a hovercraft. I've worked closely with this stuff for a long time, and I've always had that kind of curiosity of wanting to know exactly how this stuff works. It hasn't really gotten me anywhere. I haven't come up. Everybody thinks I'm going to have that one idea that suddenly will revolutionize everything and make me $1 million. I haven't done that yet, and it feels kind of bad. Forest Mims was how I learned as well. The Radio Shack books, the Forest Mims, they look like a 3-ring binder. My problem with this Forest Mims stuff right now is that we are in a totally different landscape from where I started in 1995 or 4 or 3. It is so different out there now because of digital electronics. A lot of these like Forest Mims, why does 7, 8, 9 go together? Yeah, I don't understand it. Yeah, it's cursed that you're talking about this. I thought that was a 7, 8, 9 joke. No, yeah, this is totally cursed. I don't know why they set this up this way. Yeah, I don't know. Well, people don't know a lot about electronics, and people do know a lot about electronics. I don't know. I've had plenty of opportunities to come up with the new widget that everybody comes, and then you see somebody do something cool with electronics, and you're like, damn it, I should have thought of that. I've had plenty of those opportunities, but I've never had something pop off. Anyway, learning electronics, like back in the Forrest Mims days, the 80s and 90s, 70s, 60s, the 1970s electronic book, you're going to open it up, and the first thing they're going to tell you to do is to plug a transformer into the wall in order to create your own 12 volts AC. And it's like, stop. Whoa, kid. We survived the 70s and 80s. We don't have to survive the 2020s, right? Because plugging a transformer into the wall as Jimmy's first electronics project is completely and utterly fucking cursed. We don't have to do that these days. You're like, how can I do a complicated thing? I would like to learn how to do electronics. What are you trying to do? I'm trying to add an eye tracker to my fursuit. Okay, well, here is a brightness detector. Here's a pair of like dollar store sunglasses. Glue those together. And then when it detects the dark of your eye in one of the 4 positions, you can move the animated eye around, right? We can do stuff like that now. And you don't ever have to even look at a wall adapter. You can buy an Arduino kit so that you can put something together on a breadboard. You don't even have to use solder yet to get your idea out and actually get something to work and start happening. And from there, as your ideas evolve and you get to know the limitations and the capabilities that are within your grasp, you will start to broaden horizons. And so as you do that, these sort of Arduino already built projects, take the chocolate and the peanut butter, the 2 different projects you like, and smash them together. And it's 2 things that I like. It's 2 things that I like together. That is incredibly powerful. And it's sort of the world we are in today. I encourage people, like, it is, the Forrest Mims books are good. They go through the physics of what's going on. But I don't know if I could recommend somebody beginning with those these days. SparkFun has a couple books. I don't know if they're good or not. I have people that ask me this stuff all the time. That's why I'm stopping to like talk about this for a little while, is because I get asked this a lot. I don't know how to tell you what to do, because I learned in the 90s. So it's so much different out there today, and it's exciting. There's a lot of really cool stuff. AM radio and the toilet paper tube. Yeah, that's still a thing. If you like physics, do you like gladiators? No, if you like physics and stuff, all that radio stuff is kind of neat. But, a lot of people are like, I want to add flashing LEDs to a thing. So that's easy to do. It just has very little context to the Forrest Mims books that I cut my teeth on. I took margin notes all over them because it was just like a little workbook, right? It was just this cheapo little 3-ring bindery kind of book. So you'd go through and mark notes and think about stuff and projects. And yeah, but it was all like logic level stuff. Reminds me of the Fun Chemistry at Home book that had you making lemonade with hydrochloric acid. Truly, yeah. Listen, some of the stuff that I've wanted to do, adding lights and electronics to fursuits, they've gotten there now. But I was thinking about this stuff a long time ago. I was thinking you could have a pair of glasses that had eyes on it that would move with like an e-paper display. That would be super cool. Yeah, the fact that they looked like graph paper already was pretty cool. I made a few projects with Arduinos, but I feel like I'm folding a color by numbers guide rather than actually learning something. I mean, I do learn. I feel like I'm missing the important stuff, but really fun to do though. In that case, maybe it's time to get the Forrest Mims book, even though the knowledge is a little bit outdated. You could learn some of the, because you're facing, it feels like color by numbers, and the way to make it not feel like that anymore is by getting to know some math. You unfortunately will be faced with quite a bit of math in your future, learning how different circuit structures interact with each other by means of calculation. It is, it's my least favorite part about this, but circuits is math. Yeah, it's what it's. Yep. And the Forrest Mims books do a little bit of the physics, but physics is also math. So I was never good at math, and that's why I have kind of like a weird relationship with all this stuff. I was never good at math, but I did get through control systems, which is one of the harder electrical engineering maths. I didn't get through E&M though. That's one that I did not do well with. I know a lot about RF, but I didn't get through an E&M class. It was just too intense. The first step to learning something. No, the first step to kind of getting okay at something is learning to get used to it. Yeah. The math is the hardest part. You have to find a good book that will explain math well with exercises. Yeah, and then you also have to have the wherewithal to go through the exercises. I would later in life, I tried to sort of. I was thinking about grad school and I wanted to take those tests, and they're like, you need to get a good score on your math. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, engineer, I can sit down. I can do good in math. And I found out that these courses that you have to take, I don't know if you still have to take them, but for the for grad school, that certification, that course it was all the stupid fucking tricks with math. I use math functionally, right? I am an engineer. I use math as a means by which to achieve a goal. These were all the stupid little tricksy little things that you can't flip that number in this case, like those kinds of things that just drive me nuts. So I got philosophically mad at the test, and I refused to take it anymore. The worst math I had to do was electronic space propulsion. I felt dumb. E&M did that to me. It made me feel like fundamentally just broken. Linear algebra is a wonderful, relatively new form of math that was awesome. It was so cool when it finally clicked. It was tough to get it to click, but when it clicked, you felt like a superhero. All the math suddenly became easy. All the physics math and stuff like that suddenly became easy. And you could turn the math into 2 lines of software that would do something complicated. It was very crazy stuff. Like, eigenvalues, and you get this, and then you move that part of the matrix over to there, and then this is a variable that introduces time into the equation, and it's crazy stuff. Due to an administrative screw up on my grad program, I went from circuits 1 to electric motor control. Hey, that's the stuff that I was doing. That's what I majored in. It was heady. Motors are math, by the way, guys. Motors are math. Like, an electric motor is just math. They took math, right? They took all this math and they rolled it up into a really tight burrito. And then it turns out that the shaft of the burrito started spinning, and then they hooked that up to mains power. And that's that. Motors are just math. They're just math. It's crazy. I'm an engineer too. I can only do some math. If it's some functional math like ODE or Laplace, it's okay. But ask me to demonstrate something with math speak and I'm dead. I feel like I'm in that boat now. I think all of my neurons are no longer plastic, and I have trouble with that kind of stuff. It's one of those like continuing education things, and I don't think I'd sit down with a book of equations and try to solve stuff out. You guys have seen how just fundamentally stupid I am when it comes to doing stuff like that. With any luck, though, you can find online calculators for just about anything. So this is the setup. I don't know why they set them up like this. I think they were probably trying to mimic those, mimic the through-hole ones, which would have your power and your ground. It would be like plus, minus, and then you would have, what was it? Output, and then you'd have the op amp here, right? I could find a diagram for one of those. Yeah, here's like the internal diagram of some of these quad op amps. I think maybe that's what they were going for with the design of this thing. Having plus minus in the middle, and then you would have your pluses all facing inwards towards the center, and then your minuses on the peripheral, and then your outputs were all on the ends. I think that's essentially, if you think about this and kind of unfold it, I think that's what they're going for. Wolfram Alpha for the win. I haven't used Wolfram Alpha much, but man, that was our first AI, wasn't it? Our first super public AI. It was Walfa. I'm getting my seltzer. My whistle is dry. I don't know why we have to keep my whistle so wet, but I got a flute sitting in a tub of water. All right. So I guess that's what we're going for. Unfortunately, though, the breakouts that I found that fit this particular size and didn't break the budget are doing things in kind of a weird way. So that means that our, look at this, that's one on the chip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But the 1, 2, 3, 4 are completely different over here. 1, 2, 3, and 4 is here. Oh my God. This is messed up. So wiring these are going to be a little bit weird. Stephen Wolfram is a regular Twitch streamer. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, you find all kinds here. Oatmeal Man, who's a buddy of mine, that's just his Twitch name is Oatmeal Man, got Pendleton Ward to raid the stream. I don't know if any of you guys were here for that. Pendleton Ward made Adventure Time, among other things. He's just a prolific, like really awesome animator. And he raided my channel? Like, this is like, you know, I used to sit there building like drone stuff in when I was living in Virginia, I was working for the FBI and all that stuff. I'd go back home into this stupidly expensive apartment that was really not what I was getting paid, like not what I was paying for. It was dumb. I wanted to be somewhere near social stuff going on. But so I'd get home and I'd sit at my computer and I would work on like drone stuff because I'm like, I'm going to fly drones. I'm going to get outside. I'm going to fly drones. That never happened. But anyway, I would build this stuff and I'd be building stuff and I'd just have Adventure Time sitting on the screen, right? Just going through the whole catalog to keep my brain moving while I was soldering stuff together. And then, you know, life happens, all kinds of weird circumstances. And I'm sitting here, you know, doing my thing, doing electronics, and none other than the creator of that series raids into my channel. I love Twitch for that kind of stuff. I think it's amazing. Building drones on my list too, one of those days. Do not make the mistake I did. I had, like, for instance, the modules sitting on the drone, and then I had connectors on the modules that were like these like single DuPont connectors going all over the place. And I built this humongous drone as the first thing that I built. I should not have built a humongous drone. I was like, I could put a camera on it and film cool stuff. Yeah, there's a lot more to a sort of ground up custom drone design than you'd think. And so I had this massive drone, hundreds of dollars went into this thing. I was having the best time. I was putting all this stuff together. I was figuring out how things would work. I was plugging modules into other modules. What I didn't do is go in there and tune everything. And then the second mistake I made is I used all those little shitty DuPont connectors instead of like a JST, which has like a lock, at least just some semblance of sort of permanence in the design. So I get to my friend's house and I put this thing down in the driveway. He's like, see if it'll fly. I'm like, all right, cool. So I plug everything in, plug it on, everybody comes up, all the controls are ready to go. I check that, you know, take a couple steps away because these carbon fiber props will cut the shit out. They are like a sandwich slicer. You want to be careful around those. No, not boom. I turned it on. Everything started kind of doing its thing. All the blades are spinning. It was ready to go. The electronics were ready. And so I was like, all right, here we go. Like, I guess I'm gonna fly this drone. So I know a little bit about flying drones. I know what the ground effect is. I know that you got to kind of pop it off of the ground. And so I go and I throttle it just a little bit. This was a 6-blade drone, 6 propellers around this thing, powering it. And it was a carbon fiber frame with landing gear that I had that folded up. Not a lot of weight on it. Battery weighs a little bit, but not that much. So this thing shot up into the air. It went about 8 to 10 feet in the air. And we were all looking up at it. And we're going, oh, wow, there it is. And I'm like, all right, okay, I guess it flies. And then I hear beep, beep. And I'm like, beep, beep, what? What's beep, beep? And the drone goes, and just, woof, gone. It flew right in, and by the way, this is in front of this guy's house. I could have easily gone that way and killed his house, but it went beep, beep, and it went that way, across the driveway, into the forest, and blew up into 1,000 pieces. So the beep, beep, the beep beep was it saying, I lost communication. And I lost communication because I used those stupid little DuPont connectors on it. When it lost communication, it wanted to go back to the last place that it was powered, because the GPS probably found a constellation at that point and said, oh, I know where to go. And so it tilted itself possibly in the direction of my house, my parents' house, actually. Possibly it was going to Virginia. I don't know which one it was, but it chose that direction, and boy, howdy did it go in it. It went fast in that direction. But one thing, but I'm not sure if that's exactly what it did, because I didn't really super tune it. I think ArduPilot had a tune in there, so it didn't know what it was. It may not have known which propeller was which. I think it was trying to go back to Virginia, but we couldn't really confirm. I was so fired up once about making a radar until I saw how much that hardware costs. Yeah, that's a hell of a well, you know, how much you can print a circuit board and make your own little phased array. There's your radar. But so what I did is I picked up the broken pieces of my life, and I was able to make it into a quadcopter for a family get-together. And so I piloted the quadcopter at the family get-together, and I'm like thinking back on it now, that is the most unsafe that I think thing that I've ever done. And I've built fire cannons. I have built propane-powered 10-foot tall fire cannons. And this was the least safe thing that I did, was flying that drone with a bunch of families standing around in a field. Because those carbon fiber propellers will brain you. They will kill you. I was holding the drone at one point, and the propellers sort of started up, and it put a bunch of scratches on my arm because it's sharp. They're sharp. But yeah, after that, it was pretty much like, I need to learn how to build a wiring harness. And so that's why you guys see me using all these crimpers and stuff like that. Like specifically like, well, actually this one was suggested to be bought. This one somebody suggested I buy from chat, and it was a good buy. This is the Presivia PR 3254. That's good for just about anything. And then this is the one that I discovered. This is the Japanese, oh crap, something IA09. This one does all of those microscopic crimps. It's annoying to use though. This one's very annoying to use. It's like driving a self-made car on the road. I've done that though. I've done self-made car driving before. I can do that. I know what goes into that. With the drones, I was unaware of about 10,000 things that I was supposed to be doing in order to make sure that everybody around me was safe. I should have also built one that was this big. It should have been this big. And then I could get to know, you know, like you put bungee cables between two chairs and you suspend your drone, and then you get it to kind of, you tune the PID systems and stuff like that. Like I never did any of that stuff. So I just use nitro for my airplanes. They don't go crazy. Nitro, there were two engineers that were in a couple grades below me, but I saw them doing this. They were on the elevator at our dorm room at Drexel, and they had an extra servo on their gas-powered RC car, and it was actually going to one of those nitrogen. Instead of huffing the nitrogen, you like a normal person should, they hooked it up to their RC car. This is the kind of shit that engineers are. What if I use the drugs to make my RC car go faster? And you're like, just do the drugs, man. Just come on. But what they did is they hooked a servo up to one of those nitrogen whipped cream things into the nitro RC car. The nitro, I'm using the same word to mean two totally different things. Nitro RC is gas-powered RC. Nitro whipped cream is nitrogen, laughing gas, or whatever, for dispensing whipped cream. So anyway, an engineering school is not a safe place. No, it's not. When we're having fun, it gets dangerous. It gets real dangerous. But so they were driving this thing around the parking lot, and because my apartment faced the parking lot, I was able to see this. The the little RC car going around. And then they got to the straightaway, and they hit that nitrogen. The thing goes, wah! And just flies down the parking lot. It was awesome. I was cheering. I rolled my window down and it's like cheering. Because I was watching this little dot, and then when the thing hit, it would be like, ah, and they'd come around for another pass. Coolest thing. Yeah, this is, so if you're wondering why I have a tiny little RC car with a Lancia body on it that's all 3D printed and shit, I have a long history of RC car stuff. I love these little fuckers. They're so much fun. You can get into all kinds of trouble with them. This thing is just about as fast as the grip will allow. We should come back to this thing for a couple projects, but this is very low on the totem pole right now. Now that the weather's gotten nice though, I can figure out what the top speed is with the gyro. Without the gyro, this thing went 32 miles an hour, which is a lot for something this size. And it felt like it was on glass at that point. One of the RC car projects that I would really, really like to do, and this gets very far into theory crafting. Oh, if you haven't seen this Way Crush, yeah, this is a Atom SZ2 that I got not when it was new. This frame had been around for a couple years by the time I got it. I got this because we were doing a bunch of stuff with cheap 1/24th scale RC cars. We were going to turbo hilariously cheat at Mario Kart Home Circuit, which was built by, I think, Scandinavians on a frame of a 1/24th RC car. So I bought the same RC car. It was kind of a piece of crap, but we did a lot of 3D modeling and stuff with it. This is sort of the conclusion of noodling around in RC for a little while, as I found a low poly model of a car that looks really cool and was close to the right wheelbase. And then I have these magnetic connectors now. I didn't put lights and stuff in the top here. That would be kind of the next thing to go into. Be to put lights and stuff on it, because with the controller I can control all that stuff. I can turn on and off lights and things. But one of that would be where this would go, right? Have you made any of the 3D printed F1 style cars, the ones you can build from scratch? No. Somebody who was working on a large scale one of those was in our chat for a while during the pandemic. They were a 3D printing channel, and they were working on like printing TPU and stuff for the wheels. It was a crazy project. But it was this giant F1 car that they built. No, I did this scale because during the pandemic, it would be fun to drift a little tiny car around the shop. And then it turns out that I'm not neat enough to have clean floors. And then we got a dog. So there's dog hair everywhere now. I want to figure out what the top speed of this thing is going to be. The thing is, though, a little bit after the pandemic, my friend calls me up and he says, hey, I got a bunch of electrical stuff. I said, what? Why do you have a bunch of electrical stuff? He's on all these like free cycles kind of things where, you know, somebody's looking to clean out an estate and they put it up on the free cycle board and everybody shows up and grabs stuff. What's up, 3D Lasers? One of the better names on Twitch. So it turns out from the free cycle thing, I have a bunch of weird stuff. Like we got a bunch of weird stuff from it. I don't know what examples I have near me right now. This thing. This is sort of a Windows XP machine that's made by GE. It's got a GE logo on it. And this is the kind of thing that you would put in like an electrical cabinet for like years. And then you can call it up on the cell phone. It has a cell phone modem in it. I haven't figured out what to do with this because Raspberry Pis exist. It's kind of a cool little piece of hardware though. You could put some form of Linux on there. But anyway, the point is, so from some electrical estate sale, somebody who worked for Pico Energy, I got... Wait, no, that's not part of the estate sale. That was a totally irrelevant anecdote. Never mind. Back it up. Through the free cycle stuff that my friend does, behind here, there's a toolbox. And in that toolbox is a 1/10 scale RC road car. It doesn't have a good motor in it. It doesn't have good servos in it. So it'd be a little bit of money for me to get it running again. But it turns out there exists Wi-Fi RC car controllers. I don't know what the latency is like on those, but even if there's a tolerable amount of latency on a Wi-Fi RC car controller, I could load that road chassis up with enough battery that maybe we could control the RC car with my force feedback steering wheel setup. And I could set that all up. My neighborhood is a big circle. So we could drive around here and I would just be down here sitting behind me at my desk, driving the car. And I'd have to be really conservative with the speed and stuff. I can't do awesome jumps in the RC car because if it flips, I have to leave the house, go over to where it is, and then flip it back over, then come all the way back in. But I think that would be just a hilarious project. And in order to maintain connection throughout the entire neighborhood, I would have to take walks with a Ponagachi in my pocket, the little Wi-Fi cracker sort of Tamagotchi style thing. So I'd have to take lots of walks around the neighborhood in order to make sure that I know all the credentials for all the Wi-Fi, and then I could have a blanket of coverage that could power an RC car that would have like a 1080p camera coming back to it. That'd be so super awesome. Anyway, we're just kind of shooting the shit here. I'm not going to end up getting a lot of this circuit done. I will do my weekend work and we'll put this thing together. But we've had a lot of like interesting topics come up, and they're kind of the same old. It's the usual suspects of how do I get started in electronics, and then various insane projects that I've done in the past. So I think I might wrap on a 3-hour stream. What do you guys think? 3 hours is not a lot of stream. But when we come back, maybe we'll do next week. We got to do an AutoCAD ad. Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, the conversation can be kind of one-sided, but I love this thing. We did a lot of really good 3D modeling on this, and I was able to put the tiny little 12-channel radio, the gyroscope, and then the motor controller all on this sort of beam that stabilizes the car. It keeps it from tacoing, they say, even though I don't really think that that's totally necessary of a piece. I tried some 3D modeling of these components. I did the other RC car, the cheapo one, really, really well. And I was able to make like a full 3D model. But the amount of weird chamfers and fillets that are going into a part like this, I don't know what CNC Atomic is using, but it must be a nice one. Because these aluminum parts are like, there's just so many facets to them. And I would like to, at some point, build a CNC that can build things similarly. Yeah, I guess 3 hours is a good stream. I don't know I don't think I'm under obligation to have a particular stream length. If I go longer, I get more viewers. It looks like a big bell curve sort of streaming, but then my stream exists in a time slot where it's kind of handed off to England. It's sort of like I'm early evening on the East Coast, and then in England, it's like fully going into nighttime. I should stream later, that's for sure. The 3D printed parts are, of course, the ones that blow up more often than not. These arms are also a thing that blows up. I bought the aluminum ones. I don't know if that'll be a mistake or not. I probably should just come up with a 3D model for them. If those are going to be the fusible link in every crash, having them in metal might not be a good idea, because now something else is going to take the brunt of a crash. Wait, that pin was coming out. That's supposed to be in there. Hold on a second. I gotta find my screwdriver before I lose a pin. That would be a tragedy. But yeah, so we were talking about it. Like, building real cars is a thing that I've done my whole life. Obviously fixing cars out of necessity, but also I've done a little bit of, fabrication and stuff for various 24 Hours of Lemons and Big Apple to the Big Easy Rally type stuff with some pretty serious car dudes. I would love to build a car from the ground up. And you guys heard me talking about my idea. I don't think it's going to happen just because it's too expensive for me. Previous iterations of me might have been able to do it. But with the reputation blow up of Tesla, I could see myself buying one just to strip it down to its motors. Because you can get software, you can get hardware stuff that'll control... Quit talking to me. 10K, yeah, they've gotten pretty cheap, huh? For what they are. What they are is a pretty good base for some other kind of car. So you buy something that nobody cares about, that's like an old classic car, and you put all that Tesla stuff in it, and then you've got an all-wheel drive classic car with all the weight down below. I think that'd be so fun, but I don't know. I don't have the facility for it, I don't have the facilities. That magnet attached coilover is cool. What are those contacts for? So It's not a coilover. You're talking about these? So these are magnetic connectors. You can get these on AliExpress, I think is where I had to get them from. It's got 2 rare earth magnet and 3 pogo pins. And these probably should have been the flat ones, but I attached those to the car body. So the car body just snaps into place. And what I'll be able to do with them is do things like taillights, headlights. Ah, my brain itches. No, headlights and taillights. And those will connect to the radio channels. So the radio, because I've got the Fly Sky radio or whatever, I can reprogram what the buttons do on the radio controller. So I'll have controls on the radio for turning on and off headlights, and I can even do turn signals. So I would be able to control all the lighting of this thing, which would be hilarious if we did something similar with the Wi-Fi car, because then if we're facing off another car, I could flash my brights at them. But no, this is a fun project. This is just for fun. I mean, we were going to super duper cheat at Mario Kart home circuit, and we were going to juice it up with like a nice motor and stuff like that. And that fell by the wayside. It became too much work, and it didn't really happen. And I said, this 1/25th scale, 1/24th scale RC car, it seems like a pretty decent form factor if I want to just sort of tootle around indoors. Because this scale is really designed so that you can put a mat down in your garage and you can have a race in your garage or in your driveway. And so I noodled around with this a little bit, and we bought a bunch of hardware. This is the most expensive thing, was the kit. Everything else is death by little $20 purchases. But the kit, I put it together, raced it around. I said, damn, this thing is fast. Let's try to get a body on this thing. Looked everywhere for a body, didn't really find anything that I liked. We bought a 3D printer that was broken from this eBay seller that sells broken 3D printers. And the Goop 3D printers, the plastic, whatever it is, the UV printer, they don't have a lot of functional parts. There's a computer, there's a big light bulb. Essentially, it's a giant UV LED. There's a gantry that goes up and down, but that's one axis. And then there's like the plate with the little reservoir on it, right? It's not a lot going on. So what went wrong? Well, it turns out the LED's connection to the board was just a little bit weird. And so I just spruced it up in the way that I know how to do. So we had a fully functional, formerly top of the line SLA printer or whatever, the Goop printer. And so I started noodling around with 3D printed designs in RC cars. I found out that Thingiverse, somebody had made some low poly models of some Lancia cars. And frequently what would happen is we would take the model of the car and we'd try to put it onto something that I had representing the wheelbase. Nothing fits properly because these are apparently just have slightly different dimensions from a lot of RC or from a lot of real cars. So the Lancia actually fit with minimal amounts. I had to kind of massage the wheel well forward a little bit. But I was able to actually get that to fit, and we got it all 3D modeled. I used Fusion 360's mesh tools in order to reinvent some of the meshes in here. Basically, I closed off the wheel wells, put a base on the bottom, and then told Fusion to hollow it out. And so it hollowed it out and tried to keep everything 1 millimeter thick throughout the entire thing. That's why we've got this weird pattern on the inside. It's actually just a low polygon triangle mesh. And then I had to go in and actually in Blender, I had to go in and actually close off the corners and stuff so that this thing would be one singular solid without errors all over it. It introduced a lot of weird polygonal errors to everything. But in the end, I got it working and I got it printed. Even the air scoops are functional. These are actual air scoops. They go into the body. They don't do anything because the air's here and the motor's over here. And the motor controller is all the way up there, up front. Yeah, and then I looked at magnet hangers, and it turns out they're snappy enough that it really holds this thing together. Pretty cool. So yeah, these are so fragile. You can tell I haven't driven with this body on yet because these are still here. If I've driven this with this body on, these would not be present on the model. Use the front scoop for the ESC. I don't know what this is. I think it's just a bulge to get out of the way of the motor. because that's on it's the Lancia 072 is what this thing is modeled after. And this is the Abarth version for rally. It was the last rear wheel drive car to win. What was it? What was that called again? Group B. It was Group B, where lots of people died and the cars are all crazy powerful. This is an all-wheel drive RC car though, so I am not exactly preserving the real fundamentalists will be mad at me. I did that for real airplanes. Still don't have a job, but my airplanes haven't crashed. There you go. You got to do something, right? Yeah, I would like to see what the top speed of this thing is before I park it on the shelf. Yeah, it was, well, they had to sell like a certain amount to the consumers. So there's like 100 of these things, or I don't know what the number is. It's a very low number of the actual car exists. I saw a YouTube video with it. It's pretty cool. I don't know how adjusted this thing is either. I need to like figure out how to adjust everything on it and do that. I've put a little bit into it, but not a lot. But yeah, the only way I could see an RC car stream happening around here is if I do the Wi-Fi thing. I would have to get all the neighborhood's Wi-Fi, or at least enough of it that I would have a blanket coverage of all the roads. Yeah, Group B is awesome. All right, listen, I'm out of content. I stopped working on this because it sucks. I will work on this on my own time and I will get back to you. Hopefully it goes together well. If not, we might still be breadboarding. I don't want to do 3 streams in a row of just breadboarding. I think that's a little bit droll. Put a Wi-Fi hotspot on it. I mean, yeah, I guess I could do that. Well, no, I can't do that because we don't get cell phone reception in here. The neighborhood is away from the street that has all the 5G stuff on it. And we don't have telephone poles in here, so they don't have anything to put the 5G stuff on. I would strap 5G to a codpiece and wear that around if they would let me. I need cell phone reception. We don't get it in this neighborhood. There are these little traffic circles that could easily you could just put one in the middle and nobody would see it, right? Because there's plants all around it. It's what it's. These people couldn't even agree on what siding the houses should have in the neighborhood without there literally being death threats. There was one of my neighbor who suggested that we go to the breeder that sold us corgi, or sold us Willow, where we got the love of my life, Willow. The neighbor who suggested that one had one of the other neighbors come up to her and say, "I will kill you." Like, good luck getting those people to agree to put some kind of a 5G tower in the neighborhood, which it doesn't need to be a tower. It's literally like a telephone pole with a thing on top. You can strap it to a tree with zip ties. Yeah, it's shocking to me because it's like, this is like the whitest place ever in Philadelphia. Anyway, I'm not going to rant about stuff that's going to lead you guys to doxing me, because that you guys have doxed me, or at least the people who were in here during the pandemic, which were bored, internet crazy people, have figured out what my birth year is based on the references that I make. I have an older brother. I do have connections with previous generations, but they figured out what my birthday was based on, like, the fact that I referenced Care Bears once or something. Unhinged. So I don't want to give you guys any more ammo. That's why riding around this neighborhood with the RC car is a little concerning to me. I don't know. Yeah, crazy people. In other words, crazy people. It gets weird on the internet. It gets weird on the internet. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if I'm able to make that project happen, I'm not really going to push too hard for it, but I do want to build the Ponagachi for a little bit of Wi-Fi spelunking around here, because there's a lot of networks. This is a dense neighborhood. And so if I can get in a lot of networks, I could see if I could possibly... Did you finish the synth? No. I have many synth projects. None of them are too far along. Not a single goddamn one. All that stuff over there. All this stuff over here. I got a bin full of stuff. Julian's coming here on Saturday, but I don't think I'm streaming. I don't think I'm going to stream on Saturday, but Julian will be around. We're fixing a bunch of stuff and making sure he has parts to do sort of a DIY project that he was working on. He gets to finish his projects. I don't. Mine get too complicated and I move on to other stuff. The closest thing to a synth that I've been building would be this, and I'm scared of it. I haven't come back to it in a little while. Right now we're using this as just a waveform generator with a little bit of jankiness because of the way I built this. Eventually this needs to get tons of software that'll allow me to configure things and, you know, actually make this output multiple different signals and also analyze input signals. That's something that I have a design in Fusion 360 that I need to finish. The keyboard project, I have something in Fusion 360 that I need to finish. I need to do rule violators. One of these days I'll manage to finish one project. I do finish stuff. The problem is when you finish something, it doesn't get like a full victory lap. Oh, it's done, gone, it's gone, it's out of the room, right? And no project is ever completely done. But in this case, like with the module tester, well, with the keyboard project, let's go back to that. The keyboard project, I did finish. It's sitting on my desk. My keyboard has worked for over a year. I'm just trying to put it in a slightly different package so I can make two keyboards now instead of just having the one. So in putting it in a different package, there's all kinds of little things that we're doing, and that's still an ongoing project. So you pick your battles. When we get back to the keyboard project, if we can get the things working that I want working, I can send that Flexi PCB to go get built, and then we'll put everything together, right? One finished project equals one celebration stream. I'll try to do that. That is a good idea. Pick jousting. What? Oh, I picked jousting. Oh, I see. Sorry. I thought you were just randomly just said pick jousting, and I'm thinking of like mice holding toothpicks. Like, all right. My brain is leaking out of my ears. I will be back tomorrow. I will be in better shape to do stuff. We are going to work on something else. We are not allowed to work on the mixer for now. I'll find something else to do because there's plenty to do, right? Yeah, we'll work on, not the emote thrower because I've got to order, apparently I've got to order MOSFETs. I just don't have the right thing. I just simply don't have MOSFETs of the right type. So we'll order those. I'm going to get my life together finally. No, I'm not. But here's the end card. Oh, and I didn't update that in Discord. Hold on, I got to go get, I knew I was forgetting something. Maybe we'll do something interactive. Oh, you know what? I've got something on my sleeve. I know what we'll work on. It's another big deal though. It's gonna, I don't think it'll take us a while. I think we can kind of whip something up with an ESP. I think so. Countdown to what day? 24. 25. 2025. Okay, so now I can actually go in here. I just had to do a little admin stuff, and I can give you guys this, which is the site for my social medias. If you want to see my corgi, or if you want to, I don't know. I haven't posted a lot. I mostly post corgi pictures every now and then, maybe something that I'm working on, but yeah, we need to move this out of my face a little bit. Get out of my face. Out of my face. There we go. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.